Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for test number 2 of the British and Irish Lions versus Wallabies matches. This one is so crucial for the Australians. They are down in the series 1-0. The British and Irish Lions, if they take this one out, they will take out the series. And match 3, even though it will be important, won't quite mean as much for this Wallaby side. But looking through at the starting lineups for these two teams, they have both made drastic changes compared to what we saw in the first match. In terms of this Australian side, it is mainly the 4-pack that has been adjusted for this fixture. James Slipper will start at number 1. Dave Parecki comes in at 2 rather than Matty Fessler, who did start in test match number 1. Alan Alatoa, he keeps his spot as the tight head prop for this matchup. Nick Frost keeps at number 4, but number 5 we see the big man Will Skelton introduced. That is rather than Jeremy Williams did find himself at 5. For last week, Rob Valentini moves in at 6. That is rather than Nick Champion to Chris Pigney, who did get his international debut in the first test. Fraser McWright keeps his spot at 7, and then Harry Wilson will remain as the captain and also as the number 8. Jake Gordon stays in the number 9 jersey. I know that was probably a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people. They did expect to see Tate McDermott get that nod to start, but he will be partnering with Tom Liner in that 19 combo with Lena Cattell and Joseph Suali'i. Still the midfield. They didn't get the ball into Suali'i's hands anywhere near as much as they would have liked to in the first match, but the back three, they can be dangerous. We saw glimpses of that in the last match. Harry Potter out on the left wing, Max Jorgensen out on the right, and Tom Wright at number 15 for the British and Irish Lions. In terms of their front row, there is also a switch from what we saw in test match number 1. It will be, for this contest, an all-Irish front row of Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan, and Tyke Furlong as the number 3. So that is rather than Alice Genge, who did start in the number 1 jersey. We do see Porter get the chance. For this one, in the locking duo, it is Maro Itoje alongside Ollie Chisholm, who does get the promotion ahead of Joe McCarthy. Loose forwards, Tyke Byrne, Tom Curry, and Jack Conan, the same as what they had for the first test. James Gibson Park and Finn Russell will be once again the 9 and 10 combination. In the midfield, it is Bundyaki and Hugh Jones, Sinosioni Tuipulotu, like we saw in the first match. And then James Lowe, Tommy Freeman, and Hugo Keenan all keep their spots as the Lions back 3. In the chat we have got there, I hope the Aussies can snatch this one. We'll make next week a nail biter. Absolutely. If Australia can get themselves the victory here, the series is still well and truly all on heading into the third match. And I do think for Australia's confidence heading into the Rugby Championship as well as the Bledisloe Cup, they need at least one win in this Lions Test match series. But you don't want it to be the third. You want to get that second one under the belt. I know Sue Amish says, Bastion, not for this one, no. As there might be a chance that the Lions series is all done and dusted at the end of this contest. How was your weekend, says Baden? It has only just really begun, but we've got a couple matches of the Curry Cup a bit later on. It's a little bit more cruisy of a weekend than some of the past ones that we've had. What game is at 3 a.m? It is the Western Province taking on the Bulls in the Curry Cup, and prior to that, there is the match between the Lions and the Sharks, which we will also be covering on the channel. Hello, says Jack. Welcome in. I hope you're doing extremely well. And rugby or Sunday rugby tomorrow, yes. Says Reed, if you're including the Curry Cup, then yes. Other than that, though, not a lot of rugby for this weekend. Do you see that Aussie loss to Wales? Says Kiwi Rob, I assume you're talking in the women's game. And yeah, bit of an upset in that regard. They are just showing there Schmidt making 3 changes to the pack, including Skelton and Valentini. Of course, a massive timber getting added into that forward pack. And maybe, I think those changes were going to be made anyway. But could it have possibly been a little bit to do with what we saw in that last match for the British and Irish Lions? We saw the First Nations and Pacifica XV muscle up and really take on this British and Irish Lions 4-pack, and with quite some success. It was an extremely close game. And that one, so basically it's the same team as last week, Hamish, says Robert. Not quite, no. Quite a few changes across the 4-packs for these two teams, as well as for that back line. Of course, we do see Hugh Jones keeping that spot at 13, but then Bundyaki moving in. But off the benches, there are also quite a few switches for these sides too. We have got there, I hope the Aussie can snatch this one. And I want Aussie to win, but I think the Lions will win tonight, says Kiwi Rob. And every week the facial hair is returning, bro, says Johnny. And Boo, Black Ferns XV versus South Africa will be better than the other Curry Cup game, my opinion, says Kiwi Rob. Well, you'll be able to watch it then, won't you? We have got there, when is the All Blacks playing, says Baden. They are going to be playing in 3 weeks' time up against the Argentines in Argentina. So we will be keeping an eye on that one, of course, when it takes place. But the All Blacks announcing their Rugby Championship squad on the 4th of August. It will be a 36-man side. We have got their What's Up Kiwi lads. So here's Demon the 11th, and there's nothing more exciting than a deciding third game. But I can't see Australia winning. Getting closer maybe, but winning no. So here's Vincent. See, I was the same. Heading into the second test match, I said it would always be closer than the first one. But the British and Irish Lions didn't win test match number 1 by as large of a margin as I thought they would. Because they only won it by 8, which I know is still a pretty substantial margin, but going into that game, I thought about 15 points might have been the difference. And to be fair, without one more try for the Aussies, it would have been roughly that scoreline. But, you just wonder whether or not this Australian side, as rusty as they looked in their first game up against the Fijians, and perhaps in that first half, as much as they did struggle up against the British and Irish Lions, the second half they did look like the better side, and their scrum overall wasn't too bad throughout the match. As you can see, they come in as big underdogs, $4.20 in this contest compared to the British and Irish Lions, who do sit that $1.22. But overall, a pretty successful tour for the British and Irish Lions thus far. Of course, that Argentina match happening before they reached Australian soil, but beating the Force, the Reds, the Waratahs, the Brumbies, and then that massive win over the AUNZ Invitational first test match under the belt, and then that First Nations and Pacifica XV. That could have gone honestly either way, and if it wasn't for a weird last-minute kick from the First Nations and Pacifica XV side, perhaps it could have gone the other way as well. But for the Australians, like I said, they've had that match up against the Fijians, 21 points to 18, in what was an extremely close fixture for the first match of the year for Australia, and then that second one up against the Lions, the 8 points. That would have stung a little bit because I do think that they made a lot of errors throughout that game, the Australians. This match, I'm hoping they'll be a little bit more clinical because everyone, I think most people want to see a 1-1 series heading into the third. I think that it would do Australian rugby a world of good. As you can see, 22 days away from that first match of the Rugby Championship for Australia. So they are going to be, at the moment, the most active side heading into the Rugby Championship of the 4 teams, as they have still got these 2 more games of rugby that they will be playing. We have got there, how many games are there tomorrow? So just the 2 Curry Cup games that we are going to be covering on the channel. And we have got there, can you actually believe some people have here are picking Oz? The Coach Graveyard says Grips. The thing is though, right? Yes, Australia at times do have some really poor moments. I don't think anyone's denying that. They have been up and down like a roller coaster. But they also, when they get it right, actually have a pretty solid side on the field. Like if they keep it close going into the second half, you've got those guys off the bench like a Tate McDermott, like a Ben Donaldson. Well, then we might as well show the whole bench while we're at it. Carlo Tizzano, the turnover machine and the try scoring machine for the Western Force. Angus Bell in that forward pack too. You just wonder, could they somehow pull it off? But they have to be close, because if they're down by more than 10 when the subs start rolling out, I just don't see the comeback happening. Strong bench for the British and Irish Lions too. We do see the Welshman in there. At the moment, that has been the biggest question of this whole British and Irish Lions tour, whether or not Morgan will appear for these contests. Luckily, he has here, and we'll get the chance at the MCG. We have got, come on the Lions, says Honk there. And also, I hope they name Lester Fainanuku in the squad, can play centre winger. He was playing flanker in France as well. It'll be intriguing, won't it? Because he would have played 1 game of the NPC at that point, and I guess that might be just to see where he is at. But yeah, we'll have to do a squad prediction at some point, although it is extremely difficult to do because of all the injuries that we have seen throughout the last kind of 3 or 4 weeks for the All Blacks. And evening, Hamish and everyone picking the Lions. I reckon all hinges on the Aussie pack, getting more post-contact meters, and 9, 10 and 12 challenging the line and creating space. See a studs race. And also, when is the Black Ferns game, Kiwi Robert? Is at 3 a.m. New Zealand time. And keen to see the bloody Aussies pull their weight and rep the Southern Hemisphere. Says Zai. And get Faz and Jack on last 20 minutes to nails the series win. Big hello from Wales. You do a fab job on this commentary. Enjoy it. Says Gareth, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Of course, we have got the game next week that I will be covering on the channel. Then we are jumping straight into the Rugby Championship. If Australia lost tonight, be Curtis for them in the Rugby Championship, because do you think Aussie can beat New Zealand or South Africa or Argentina? Says Kiwi Rob. The thing is, I still think that they've got the ability to. And I mean, we saw how close they were last week. Or sorry, not last week, last year in one of their games up against New Zealand. They also did end up beating Argentina last season. But it's just, you don't know what Australian side you're going to see turn up. Is it too early for a beer here, 10:40 a.m.? It's later than some people have started drinking, Johnny, so that's something, I guess. Bet 100 plus minutes in the 3-test series. They're never to name. Jack Morgan says DJ Shaq. If you lose, Britain owns Australia. Oh, too late. Says Jane. And has the flooding in New Zealand stopped, mate? I actually have no idea. We haven't had a lot of flooding where I am. And I don't actually know where it's been flooded. I think it's been up north, hasn't it? Where the main amount of water has ended up. But this game, it is sitting about 20 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. We have got there what you're going to do, says Honk and there as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to be looking through at some statistics from that first match between the British and Irish Lions and the Australians. Look at who the top performers were as we get that little bit closer to test match number 2. But the full-time score, 19 points to 27. And there were some very busy players out there on the field. What's your opinion on Ruby Tui missing the Black Ferns team for the World Cup squad? Says Kiwi Rob. I know that she missed it. I think from the sounds of it, they said that they were going to go with someone a bit younger. And, you know, it's an interesting one because no one likes to see a veteran miss out. You know, it would be similar to when we get round to that next World Cup, and if they were to take away someone like a Bowden Barrett, or trying to think of who else are the older guys in the team at the moment. There aren't actually that many like properly older fellas in the All Blacks environment at this point in time, is there? But yeah, it would be a little bit similar to that, having one of the more experienced heads. Missing out, Nelson Bros says, Andrew, and please say hi to my dad in Hamilton. And my sister Sally in Fiji, please. A shout out to your dad and sister Sally. And we have got there up the Wallabies, says a rugby itch. And for the sake of Australian rugby in the series, I hope the Wallabies can pull this off, says Sakabulla. Yeah, for the sake of the series, it would be great. You know, 1-1 going into the third match. That just puts a little bit more excitement and a bit more spice to what has already been a pretty interesting British and Irish Lions tour. There have been the one-sided matches, but then alongside that, we have also seen some very close games along the way in the midweek fixtures. But last week, we have to mention it. And when I talk about performers from that first test match, the first man that came to mind was Tyke Byrne. He was absolutely everywhere out there for test match number 1. The man made 23 tackles, which is huge for any player out there on the park. Maro Itoje, a little bit of an underrated workhorse of that first test, also made 19. Nick Champion to Chris Pigney, he made 17, but they decided to take him out of the side for this contest so that Rob Bellatini could return. So the thing is, Rob Bellatini gets in the team a lot of the time because he's a powerful ball runner. He has got some good breakdown work, and, you know, he's just in general a powerful player. But I will say the youngster Nick Champion to Chris Pigney showed that he had that little bit of extra hunger. Does Bellatini still have that? I hope he does for this match, because every once in a while, Bobby V goes missing out there on the field and does end up, you know, breezing by. But this is the type of game that he has to be in absolutely everything. Has to work that gas tank harder than he has in quite some time, because the series is on the line. And you need to have that fuel and that hunger. And hopefully Rob Bellatini can show that out there today. We have got, do you think James O'Connor will get a game in this tour? Not considering he's in the squad, says Kiwi Rob. Well, he's only got one more game that he could get the chance. I think that if Australia are down 2-0, they'll play him in the third. I think that if it's 1-1, I honestly do think that Joe Schmidt will still stick with Liner and Donaldson, injury-free, of course. Reasoning behind that, because, you know, he wants to show that Australia have that young talent coming up through the rankings rather than going with the old veterans. And, you know, as much as people gave Eddie Jones stick, that's actually what he had as his mindset. That's why we saw the likes of a Quade Cooper and a Michael Hooper missing out on that World Cup. So Schmidt doing something similar here, but of course not getting as ridiculed for making that decision. Rob Bellatini, 26. I thought he was in his 30s. He does seem older, I'll be honest, but he's been around for so long, Rob Bellatini, so I think that might be a little bit of the reasoning why. A little bit similar to David Harvilli. Some people think he's like 40, but really he's not. He's a lot younger than that. Appreciate the stream, pal. Big respect from an England fan. Says, Kelman, I do appreciate you being here for this live stream. It is greatly appreciated. And Australia, it started with tackle and ends with persistence. Says Shane. We have got there, sorry to change the subject, but which games are you all doing today? So I am doing the 2 games of the Curry Cup. I have scheduled them both on the channel, as I did do it just before this live stream. But the Lions versus the Sharks, and then also Western Province versus the Bulls is the next game. After that, and Australia lost against Wales in the World Cup. Says Andrew, Australia starts with an A and finishes with an A. A lot of countries do start with A and end with A, though. I think is there one that doesn't, but I can't think of what it is. You know, Algeria, Albania, all those type of ones are all, even Antigua and Barbuda also starts with an A and ends with an A. We have got there, thanks Bud, says Sakabula, and this should go to a third match decided, but for that to happen, Australia need to do very well here. They have more territory in that first match. They also have more carries than the British and Irish Lions. The turnover count was a little bit low for both sides, the 5 in total. I feel like they would have liked to push that towards the 7 or the 8, but line breaks. Max Jorgensen actually having the most out of anyone in that first matchup with the 2. Harry Potter, Tom Lynagh, and Nick Frost also having 1 each for the Australians. There are about 7 players for the Lions who have 1. Jones, Tuipulotu, Lowe, Sheehan, Toje, Conan, and Ben Earl. And of course, a couple of those guys not actually playing in this matchup. Have you decided what you're doing for the ITM Cup starting this Thursday, says Baden? Not yet, no. But I'll have to make that decision, of course, very soon, seeing as it is just around the corner. Tyke Byrne and Fraser McWright, they were also 2 very busy men in the breakdown for the last match up against each other. 3 turnovers, 1 for Fraser McWright, 3 turnovers, 1 for Tyke Byrne as well. So I do think it's important that these loose forward trios, like I said a bit earlier on, they get into their work and they just have to fully commit to this contest because, you know, once again, for Australia, this is do or die at the moment. If they go out of this series losing at 2-1 or 3-0, people will be pretty brutal to them. Wallabies will come out firing, says KW. Yeah, they have to in this match because if they don't, she's going to be trouble. Last 10 minutes of this game, another stat that I found that was quite intriguing was the 69% possession for the Australians throughout the last 10 minutes and then 52% possession in general. And I just, you know, I feel like if they can get that much possession in the second half, you're up against the Lions. The Lions' record in the first half of contest has been very good. And I can say Azerbaijan, well done. And we have got their fight for the fans that want to love you, says Shane. And Lions 45 until the 32 of Matthew. And did you watch the Classic versus Whanganui? No, I did not. I didn't actually know it was on, to be fair. Although now that you say that, I think I did hear them say it on the Classic All Blacks versus Classic, or the veteran Pacific Island match a week ago, but I didn't see how it ended up going in that regard. Scrums won in the last one. We did see 100% scrum accuracy for the Australians, whereas for the Lions, they did actually lose one of their scrums along the way, but that is pretty unsubstantial, I guess you could say, for this whole contest. And possession good, meters gained not so much, says Suds Rays, and that's the tricky part, isn't it? And I do think that has been addressed a little bit by Joe Schmidt. He pretty much said, look, we had a lot of ball, but we couldn't do much with it. You know, the most running meters out of any Australian was Tom Wright with 49. Following him, Max Jorgensen with 36. Whereas for the British and Irish Lions, we saw Jack Conan have 60 metres. And we saw Dan Sheehan have 50. So the fact that those two combined have more running metres than Australia's back 3, they're not good. It's not what you want. You want to have those more metres made. A position good. And up the line says HJC with a picture of, I think that's Sheldon Cooper. If I'm not wrong, we have got Wallabies by Ted. My prediction says KW Stanley, listening in from Abu Dhabi. Looking forward to your call, mate. Enjoying your pre-show, says Sammy. And it is greatly appreciated you being here for this matchup. We are going to be back later on for the Curry Cup. And also next week, we are going to be here for hopefully the decider. Now, that is very much down to our Australia play. What's got Joe McCarthy out of the team? Says Bastian. I don't think it's injury-based, but I could be wrong. Maybe there was something there. I would assume it's just from what Chisholm has been able to do throughout the performances he has had. But, you know, he's really been able to step up in that regard. Ollie Chisholm, like, he was playing 6 in one of the games. It did look like one of the standouts. Bare foot for Joe McCarthy. Oh, okay, so his foot not playing the game, unfortunately. And come on, Australia. Make the series interesting. Leave us as a decider for next week from a Bok. Says Roger. And hard to judge the Wallaby backs as they didn't get much front foot ball last time, so Joe's giving them another crack. Says David. And yeah, with the exception of Will Skelton and Rob Valentini, as well as Dave Parecki in that number 2 jersey, they are the same players across that 4-pack. And I do think that adding Skelton and Valentini just shows that they want that little bit more power up front. And maybe that will help with the running meters throughout this game. Just found out Sione isn't injured at all. Farrell dropped both centres, but had to replace Ringrose because of a concussion. Farrell just dropped Sione out of the squad. Sione can play. Says power bite there. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. But although, I guess, with the fact that he already named Hugh Jones in that case, due to the Ringrose concussion, it does kind of make sense, because that might have been one of those ones where he originally wanted the Irish pairing, but really, that change of Jones muddled it a bit. But then he also couldn't really sack Archie if he had plans for playing him. And this one, how long until the game starts? Also, do you think the added muscle to Australia will let their backs finally get a chance to shine? It is currently 9 minutes or so away from the kickoff of this contest. I do think that the power up front, if they play well, could actually be quite the difference maker. He's streaming ITM next week. Once again, we are still waiting to see. And hi, Hamish, really excited for this game today. I'm thinking Lions by 15, says David. And there as well, we have got there, Joe McCarthy is injured, says Fiddlemer. And Farrell dropped both Scottish centres for the Irish, and now he has to pick Archie and Jones, the worst combination on this tour, says Power Bite. And maybe that is somewhere that the Australians will be able to make the most of then. The fact that they have gone identical to the first match, Lena Cattell and Joseph Suali'i. I felt like Suali'i was nowhere near as involved in that first contest as people would have liked to see. When is the Rugby Championship starting? It is starting in around 3 weeks. I have got, there we go, those are the first round fixtures on the 17th of August for us here in New Zealand, whereas for you guys overseas, that will be the 16th of August. First match, South Africa versus Australia, and then Argentina versus New Zealand, the other match that has taken place for the first week. Also, the week after, we do get to see the Pacific Nations Cup fixtures between Canada and the USA and Tonga and Samoa, and then also the second round of the Rugby Championship also taking place with 2 more home games for the home sides of the first. Archie for the first try. Archie is good, but Australia centres are solid on defence and will handle him. Says LB. Yeah, Archie, one of his big bonuses, like honestly, both of these sides are full of power for this matchup, and I do think that is what's going to be such an intriguing part of the head-to-head, is whether or not all of these powerful players can actually run their natural game, or whether they're going to be shut out of it a little bit due to the opposition defence. Finn Russell stretching his jersey, says I Lollipop. And also, I hope I get the match on the Pirates site this time, says Bastion. And also, we have got the Boo, the Scottish centres was spot on, says Calmac. And also, we have got the classic backline work of old Australia's only way Lions pack is too good, says Shane. Although we did see, I don't like saying weaknesses, because, this is still a world-class team. But I would say we saw slight weaknesses in that Lions forward pack in their match up against the First Nations and Pacifica XV, although a very different forward pack to what we're seeing. And this one, when you know about the ITM, Hamish, when I schedule it. If I don't schedule it, of course, I won't be doing it. But if I schedule it, it would only be on Thursday that I do make the decision. It also depends on work a little bit as well. Hi, Hamish. I'm listening to you. My score is Lions 40, Aussie 31. I'm watching Livestream, but Adita MH, I don't know what that last bit means. We have got the... I know it's far, or not for a good while, but last week Zimbabwe qualified for the first Rugby World Cup since the early 90s, beating Namibia in the final. Says David, yeah, massive one for the Zimbabweans. Also Hong Kong qualifying only a few weeks prior. Good to see Morgan in the reserves. Nice win for Wales Women's today. Sorry, guys. Says Roderick. What we will do is we will show the lineups once again for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. For the Australians, they've made a few changes compared to what we saw in the last contest. James Slipper, Dave Parecki, and Alalatoa will make up the front row. So the change in that number 2 jersey, which does bring Parecki in rather than Matty Fiesler, who was there for last week. Nick Frost and Will Skelton as the new locking duo. Skelton coming in for Jeremy Williams. Finds himself in the number 19 jersey in this fixture. Rob Valentini at 6 rather than Nick Japan champion to Chris Pigney. 7, Fraser McRae, and 8, Harry Wilson. McRae having 3 turnovers, 1 in that last contest, so you'd expect a few more from the man in this matchup, and we need a big game coming from Harry Wilson. For the number 8, Jake Gordon and Tom Liner will remain as the 19 combo. Some thought maybe McDermott would get himself the halfback spot, but he misses out in this contest. Lena Cattell and Joseph Suali'i will be in the midfield with Harry Potter, Max Jorgensen, and Tom Wright at number 15. In terms of this British and Irish Lions side, also making a few changes right from the get-go. Number 1, switching out Ellis Genge and putting Andrew Porter in as the loose head prop. Dan Sheehan keeps a spot at 2 with Tyke Furlong slotting in as the number 3. Sheehan having 50 running metres in that last contest, which was actually more than a majority of the Australian backs. So some pretty busy work coming for Dan Sheehan. Maro Itoje as the number 4 once again will be skipper, and number 5 Ollie Chisholm comes in for the injured Joe McCarthy. Tyke Byrne at 6. He had 3 turnovers, 23 tackles in test match number 1. Tom Curry at 7 and Jack Conan as the number 8. Jamison Gibson Park alongside Finn Russell in that 19 combination with Aki and Jones making up the midfield. Now, I have been informed that originally we were actually going to see Gary Ringrose as that number 13 option, but due to his HIA, does mean that he does miss out, and we see Hugh Jones once again get the chance, which is good because he did have a lot of metres made throughout Test match. Number 1, James Lowe, Tommy Freeman, and then Hugo Keenan at number 15. A very different looking British and Irish Lions team, perhaps than some anticipated when it came down to that very first week, choosing a British and Irish Lions lineup. But overall, a very strong side making their way onto the park. We have got there, sad that Namibia won't be in the World Cup. To be honest, says LB. Yeah, it is a big shame for them. Although they can still go through the repechage, can't they? I think there's still a couple more chances for sides to be able to get in. We have got there going to cover the Namibia versus UAE game. We are not, no. I don't know where they'll be showing it here for us in New Zealand. You like for a Women's Rugby World Cup? I would like to, but I've also learnt that the final of that Women's World Cup overlaps with the Rugby Championship. So sadly, even if we covered all the games up till that World Cup final, we wouldn't be able to cover the final of the comp. So it makes it a little bit less likely to be doing a huge amount of those games. It'll be nice to have a third match as a decider next week. But hard to want a Lions loss with 9 Ireland players in the 15, says Austin. And yeah, it is a pretty strong looking Irish type of lineup here with a few Englishmen thrown in there. Of course, the one Welshman off the bench and Jack Morgan keeping it alive for Wales in this series. The game against the UAE, then the 4 teams qualifying tourney if they win, says David. And where the hell is Nick White not good enough? They did go for the younger options in this contest in terms of Jake Gordon alongside Tate McDermott, although McDermott has shown exactly why why he is in there. Namibia vs UAE is being streamed on Rugby Pass and YouTube, so in that regard, you don't need me for that matchup because there are plenty of other options being able to watch it. Why Josh Van der Flair and Duhan van der Merwe not in the starting lineup, says Alexander. Well, they aren't even off the bench either for this matchup. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind Van der Flair because he seems to be put in the midweek teams much more. Same with Duhan van der Merwe. Honestly, I think that Van der Merwe, it might be the defence is the reason why he's not getting selected. But then at the same time, they do still have that third test match where we could see him go in. James Lowe, a lot of people felt he wasn't his absolute best in test match number 1. Expecting Lowe to have a good game. And honestly, like I said, he needs to because if not, we could see someone else try to take that spot. I dropped some cash on Australia winning today. $4.50 odds. Come on, boys, bring it home. Says Razor Robertson. We have got there Morning Amish says Dundee, and also Van der Merwe isn't good enough to get in his defence, or it's his defence. Says Power Bite, and come on Aussie, do something, says I Lollipop, but we can watch the action but have your commentary, perfect combination. Says David. And out there as well, and Duhan van der Merwe seems to have a problem passing left to right and right to left. Says Studs Race. And there too, but it sounds like a loud MCG for this contest, a stadium that can hold upwards of 80,000. I'm not sure whether or not they've got the 80,000 today, but it certainly sounds like it as the two sides get ready to make their way out into the middle. Of course, this ground has had some brilliant cricketing moments in the past. There's a fair bit of AFL throughout the season too, but now it is rugby turf, and these two sides ready to try and tear it up. Not literally. I think the groundskeeper would be quite sad if they were to tear it up too much, but it's going to be a big match. The series decider. At least at this point for the Australians, they need this win to make it 1-1. The Lions winning with Skelton, Valentini and Suaalii on the pitch will be a great message to the average Joe playing rugby. Says Urba there, and Duhan is brilliant on attack. Defence not so much, says Cited, and good to see a packed stadium. And also Warriors lost with his last place Titans, says Johnny, so not quite the best day for the Wars, it would seem. But now Harry Wilson waiting for Maro Itoje to and make his way out of the tunnel to join him at the start of the tunnels. There is quite the nervous energy around MCG at the moment. There are a lot of people anticipating a great battle between these two teams. The 8 points difference between them last time. Our wings are supposed to score tries, not pass the ball. That is called a scrum half, says Alexander. And let's go Lions score first and fast, says Matthew. Yeah, the best way for the Lions to take Australia out of this contest is to just score straight away and really put the Aussies on the back foot from the very first whistle. Morning all 5 a.m. in Canada. It is greatly appreciated you being here, David, for this matchup. This has to be the biggest crowd that the MCG has had for rugby in quite some time, surely. Over 45,000 they have said in attendance for this matchup. And the game is the Lions to lose. Hope it's entertaining, says Dundee. Yeah, if the Lions are going to close out the series here and get themselves the big win, all we can ask for is a really good game of rugby. Lions win 43 points or 49 to 33. Geez, so a high scoring one in that regard. They've got the big music going at the moment. A little bit of hype music at the ground, relying on your commentary, mate. Just lost TV remote for Formula One sprint race, says Studs Rays. I think the British and Irish Lions are going to win this one, says Bruce. The two sides lining up here, ready to go for this matchup. Looking through at the benches very quickly while we are at it. Billy Pollard, Angus Bell, and Tom Robertson will be there, so no Matty Fazler at all for this contest. Jeremy Williams from the starting lineup to the bench for this game, with Langy Gleeson coming off the bench as the number 20, with Carlo Tizzano there at 21. So actually going with the 6-2 split for the Australians. And this matchup, Tate McDermott is the 22. Some thought he would be starting, but instead going to be the impact player off the bench, Ben Donaldson, number 23. And then for the Lions, it is once again a stacked-looking bench. They've got the veteran in Owen Farrell, Blair Kinghorn for a bit of excitement in 23, and Jack Morgan, who will want many turnovers throughout this contest. James Ryan there too as the number 19. But we're about to have the Australian national anthem. 45k is a small crowd, says Anthony Walker. 45,000 is quite a few people though, isn't it? Imagine trying to feed all those people. That would be hard work. Big night ahead, says Hanoi. And also we have got there, I think the expected crowd was 90,000. Says Martin. Well, I did hear 45. I could have been absolutely wrong though, because it actually looks a lot more full than 45. Can Joe Schmidt pull it off? I wonder what his game plan is. Maybe he can. Is Tui Pilotu injured? No, they were going to straight switch him and the Scottish number 13 and Hugh Jones out for the two Irishmen, but due to the head knock of Ringrose, by the sounds of it, they just went with the 1-1 in that regard. Amish commentary says we'll lose Nate. It's 95. Was it 95? Okay, well that makes more sense then rather than 45. I can't really hear them completely, so that's just down to my poor judgment. We have got there, what are the odds these matches are fixed? Probably very, very slim, I would think. I don't think you try and fix a British and Irish Lions tour. That would be a bit too global and too obvious if that was the case. And I got a funny feeling for today. A wounded Wallaby can be surprising. Aussies are too proud of a nation. Says Roger there. And also, what's the Wallabies bench split? I missed the lineup. So they have gone with the 6-2. Carlo Tizzano is the number 21, with McDermott and Donaldson as the two men making their way off the bench. But the British and Irish Lions ready to go for this contest, the Australian national anthem. It has been sung loud and proud. And now we're ready to go. Test match number 2. State of Origin was fixed this year, says Balbite. I mean, that one went down to the third test. So hopefully we get the same here. 1-1 would be ideal going into test match number 3. Not what you want to be saying to the English right now. Playing... where'd that go? Playing... Oh, that disappeared really far. There it is. Paying for 45,000 people. Says Carl, but yeah, 95,000 by the sounds of it is what they've actually got. They are just showing Rob Ballatini. 13 test starts. Has never come off the bench for the Australians. He has 3 tries. He's ranked number 1 for the Wallabies. In certain statistics, Tom Curry, though, that man loves getting in the breakdown. He loves being physical, loves causing problems for the opposition, the token Welsh player. I don't think Jack Morgan, is at all a token player. I think he's well and truly earned his spot in this British and Irish Lions team. Some are disappointed that he's not starting. And some were extremely disappointed that he didn't play in test match number 1. Huge respect for Ireland's ex-coach Joe Schmidt. But Lions take 1. And my opinion says 0 there. What's the odds on the red card? Curry is a walking red, says Nick. And come on, you British Lions, says Mr. Reindeer. But they have just got the cinematics of the MCG. Will be Andrea Piardi in charge of this contest. He is a very entertaining ref to watch in the URC, mainly because you never know what he's going to do out there on the park. Hopefully this game will be a little bit more straightforward, though. Sometimes he just loves a chat with the players. You know, catch up on what happened last weekend and whatnot. But Joseph Soaleti, he will not want to think about what happened last weekend, as he hardly touched the ball. But this week, could get the chance very early on with Finn Russell kicking off this one at the MCG. We are ready to go for test match number 2. It is kicked off high by Russell. It bounces off the kickoff. No one claiming it, and in the end slapped into touch. So I think there's a little bit of a decision that needs to be made in terms of whose line out it is actually going to be. It will be Australia's for the first one of this contest. Is the ref Argentinian or Italian? He is Italian. Piardi. And I appreciate the commentary. Big respect from Ireland, says side. Do appreciate you being here. It is greatly appreciated. Just said appreciated twice, but that's how much I appreciate you being here. But now a short line out. Going to Will Skelton at the front. Back across to Parecki. It was dragged down 40 metres out from the Wallabies line. Harry Wilson now low tackle on him. It looks like rolling this one back. It will be Jake Gordon ready for the first box kick of the day. You're delayed, says Mike. I am, yes, because I am watching on Sky Sport now. But now chasing after this one, James Lowe. Nicely taken. And Max Jorgensen drags him down 30 metres out from the line now, the British and Irish Lions. I'm just 1 minute behind me. Going to pause the TV, says Cal Mack. And also Italian ref, says Power Bite. Looks like the Lions will fire back a box kick of their own. Currently sitting only the 1 minute through this fixture already. Skelton trying to do a little bit of pushing in that breakdown. Taken by Tom Liner, the young 10, whose father to play in a British and Irish Lions tour as well. Gordon with the ball at the back. Goes across to Skelton, who runs it straight. And Maro Atoje, who tried to strip him off him, but a knee was down, I should say. So it does mean the penalty goes against the skipper of the Lions. He doesn't look happy about it either. And Low Strong says Ruth. And also Low Aki and Gibson Park will score tries for the Lions. Low may get a hat-trick, says Tamati. And also, come on, you Irish lovelies, says Mr. Reindeer there too. But Tom Liner, he will be able to kick this one into touch for the Australians. A little bit of drizzle they have just mentioned. So I might get a little bit more slippery later on. But yeah, the knees down of Skelton. Atoje ripping that ball away off the grounded opponent. Penalty every day of the week. So why is this match not televised in New Zealand? It is. It's on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. Now being thrown in by Dave Parecki over the top. Taken by Rob Valentini, who runs straight into Finn Russell. He is all right. He's also decided to push Valentini on the ground afterwards as if to say, don't do that again. Which I think will more so entice Valentini to target him once more when he gets ball. The ball's still there for the Australians. 35 metres out from the line. Gordon goes across to Len Akitau. Rob Valentini running at Tom Curry this time. Already a couple carries for Bobby V. Now Liner wrestled down by Atoje. It's good face play at the moment from the Australians. 7 in a row. Quick hands from Jorgensen. Beautifully passed on the outside to Nick Frost. Dragged down by Tyke Byrne, who had the most tackles out of any player in the first test. Alan Alatoa tackled by Atoje once more. He had the second most with 19. Rob Valentini off to Ikitau. Loose ball. An advantage here for the Australians, for the Lions being offside. Gordon missed the pass to Wilson. Almost went through himself. Curry trying to get the steal. Harry Wilson with the wide cutout pass to Dave Parecki. And they'll go back for the penalty. Is Harry Potter playing? He certainly is. He's out on the left wing for this contest. I like your profile picture, though, in terms of asking that question. I don't even think it was on purpose either, so fair play. And penalty Australia, says Hangaret. And Valentini already put in the work, and he was one of the guys that we talked about quite a bit in the pre-match, saying he has to be one of the players leading from the front here for the Aussies because he is a physical player. And already we've seen him have a couple really strong carries that have made those metres. Come on, Australia, make it fast-paced. Boys, make 3 points, says Joseph. And the Lions will close the series today, says Osea. But if they don't, geez, it's going to be a good third test match. I mean, 8 points separating these two sides was a lot closer than some thought for test match number 1. It looks like Liner will line up this 3 points, 25 metres out, relatively straight in front of the posts. Our Lions infringing a bit here, says David. And to be honest, their discipline in the second halves of some of their games has been pretty rough. We haven't seen too much of it in the first half, so maybe a couple little nerves at the start of the game, but the kick goes over from Liner, making the score now 3-0 for the Wallabies. What a kick for the Lions, 5 metres out from Australia's line. Says Hangarat. So you're obviously ahead. Oh yeah, no, it is the kickoff. So yeah, if we can avoid the spoilers, it would be greatly appreciated. A little bit of a slip there for Harry Potter, but it will now be the 5 metre line out for the Australians, but just kicking it off long there for Finn Russell. Australia caught napping. Unfortunately, no one back there. It looked like James Slipper was trying to run it, and I think that Tom Wright looks like he was one of the more frustrated players about it. He possibly should have been back there. Now we have good there. What games you doing today, says Mohadeen. We've still got 2 more games of the Curry Cup that are going to be taking place a little bit later on tonight. Australia will win the second test. Here's Joseph, but thrown in by Parecki, taken by Wilson, back to Gordon, and now Valentini bumps off Dan Sheehan. 5 metres out from the Australian line, becomes 10. Now Gordon looking to roll it back. We have got the Australia line out good. Defensive kick being to 10 metres inside. And sorry, Hamish didn't know I was ahead, says Hangarat. Okay, fair enough. But 6 minutes into this contest, there will be the line out. Our Wallabies better not give up in the second half, says Zai. And I Hamish, thanks for the commentary. Good start, Wallabies. And so tell me, Hamish, they're saying it's going to rain in this match. They are, yes. So that's all I can really tell you, that they mentioned about the rain. I'm sorry, but I don't rate a Tojay, says Roger. He can be ill-disciplined at times, but he does do quite a bit of work out there. A little kicker behind, attempted by Finn Russell, retreating there as Tom Wright has got Liner with him, who is under even more pressure now. Somehow manages to get the kick away, and it was charged down, which puts all the Wallabies on side. Russell gets the offload to Sheehan, and the Lions that possession 30 metres out, but McDermott. Oh no, sorry, McWright that was almost. Getting the steal. Gibson Park. Russell now off to the right-hand side, finds Hugo Keenan. Tried to step, but he's lined up by Joseph Suaalii. And a bit of a counter-ruck there from the Wallabies, but still on the side of the Lions. Finn Russell has to skip past to the touch judge, and it will now be the line out for Australia. I'm only 45 minutes away from the city in Melbourne, and it's pissing down. So here's Matthew. What noise does a Wallaby make? I don't really know, to be honest. I haven't heard a Wallaby make a lot of noise. I know that around this area they're considered a pest, so normally it would be something of, I've been shot. But, no, I'm not too sure. Now, line out, nicely taken by Nick Frost. Tom Liner does kick it up high, down into the Lions' half. Nicely taken at the back, Hugo Keenan. Passes across to Tommy Freeman. It's tackled by Len Ikatel around the halfway line. Hey, Hamish, says Brandon, welcome in. You're doing extremely well. I'm predicting Australia to win by 13 points. Nice. I'm enjoying the commentary. Has the game had a scrum yet? Interested to see how Australia do. Yeah, 100% of their scrums in the last match. We have not had one as of yet, though. A Wallabies meow like a cat, do they? I've never heard a Wallaby make noise, so I have to, I guess, Google it afterwards. Now kick downfield from Australia. Lions inside of their own 22, and Hugo Keenan puts it into touch. Who's the referee? It is Andrea Piardi of Italy. In charge of this contest. He does quite a few of the games in the URC. Already Australia looked better than last week. Yeah, I do think they're losing a lot of that rust that they had for the game up against the Fijians, as well as for that first half up against the Lions. And now loose ball claimed by Fraser McWright, as he is tackled by Sheehan. Lions win by 16 points. Says James there. Now rolling this ball back. Let me put in this one up high. Chasing after it, Harry Wilson. It's a good tackle on low and a beautiful offload around the back, finding Gibson Park. The two Irishmen linking up and driven into touch for Tyke Byrne. Okay, so straight away we're seeing a lot more physicality than Australia from the last contest. Australia make the score and make another 3 points. Says Joseph. And Wallabies sound like me in the morning. Says Calmac, is Sheehan gonna get 3? I don't know if he'll get 3 rolling maul tries or even 3 tries in general for this contest. I actually think it will be the backs for the Lions who do get more success throughout this game. Tom Liner going off Ikatel with the short ball to Joseph Suali, who had a very good running line, but Curry trying to get on the ball, no clear release. And it's another penalty to the Wallabies. Looks like a little bit of afters almost happening there too. Did you sleep? I did sleep, yes. I got a few hours in. I know Piare, the bold-headed Italian. And go on Australia, show them what you got, says Powerbite, and Wallabies make a sound move, Lions get out. And also back here for the second test, watching from Ireland, says David, and it is greatly appreciated. Of course, we are going to be back for test match number 3, which is happening at this same time, 7 days down the line. The question is, are we going to be 2-0 for the Lions at that point in time, or is there a chance that the series is 1-1 and it all comes down to the wire? But another opportunity to be able to go for 3 points here for Tom Liner and the Australians. Already 10 minutes. That did not feel like 10 minutes at all. But lining up the kick for Liner, and it's just drifted over, making the score now 6-0 for the Australians. So they are punishing the ill discipline of the Lions. Penalty from Curry and a penalty from Maro Itoje have both led to scoring chances. But now Australia already back. They're not falling for that kickoff once more. I think the Lions got this, says Big Rig Joe. And the Italian is a good ref, to be fair. He does chat a lot to the players, though. I watch him in the Six Nations. Yeah, he loves a chat. Which I guess is better than a ref who doesn't talk at all. I'm trying to hold him up in a rolling maul here. The Lions doing very well. That ball is trapped in it, and it will now be the scrum for the Lions. I think Gordon's just asking the argument of off a kickoff, is it still going to be their ball? Okay, I think Ben O'Keefe was just clarifying the rule that it was at one point that if you were held up off a kickoff, it was the team who did get the kickoff's ball, but in this case it is not, as I think that law was changed a little while back as well. Skelton back in the team. He certainly is the big man at 5. And I told you it's so overrated. Says Powerbite 92, and I got 1 to 5 for 9 to 1 for the Australians. Driving to Manchester, loving the commentary, bro, says Red. So I do appreciate you being here. First scrum of the day, 913 kgs for the Lions compared to the 916 of the Wallabies. So the fact that they added Skelton in and the Wallabies still only have that 3 kg advantage tells you that this is a pretty solid Lions pack. And playing international rugby and not knowing the rules as an oof, says Big Rig Joe. And also we have got there, are you breaking out the suit and tie for the final match? You know what? If it's 1-1, I'll wear the suit for match number 3. How about that? I feel like that's a good compromise. Because there's also the chance that at the end of this game it's 2-0 and then that third match doesn't quite have that same level to it. But yeah, if it's tied going into the third, I'll get the suit out. It's been a sad week for celebrities, Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan. Says LJ. I wonder who Harry Potter was named after. He actually wasn't named after the books. As much as people think he was, he actually wasn't. It was around the same time as the books came out. Handbags, says Sakabula. You doing Australia's game next week? We certainly are. Third match of the British and Irish Lions tour. We would not miss big scrum there from the Lions. And the penalty advantage in their favour. Gibson Park with a sniping run off the back of the scrum. Oh, not gone from Furlong. Oh, that was because of the big shot from Will Skelton in the spot. Maro Itoje getting in there and trying to have a bit of a scrap. Skelton's smiling through the whole thing. He is used to players trying to grab him. I think Itoje's still trying to talk to him, but he's not getting heard because too busy with Andrew Porter for Will Skelton. He's having a big smile too. Itoje still... I don't think Skelton even acknowledged Itoje once throughout that whole altercation. Come on, bruv, is the comment there from Will Skelton. Will Skelton was just saying, sorry, it's a big stadium. Didn't hear you, did I? It's just big. It's quite large here. But yeah, it is the shot coming in from Skelton. Then Itoje grabs him. And I'm sorry, Atoje he got so unlucky there because he ended up with Will Skelton to his side. Andrew Porter and Tyke Furlong were in front of Skelton. You did not punch from Skelton, says Cal Mick. A huge scrum by the Lions. They do look a little rattled. And also, we have got their Nick Tupou in the front row, says Zyber. Thrown in now, the Lions. Gibson Park off to Bundy Archie. 5 metres out from the line here for the Lions. And a great attacking chance. Gibson Park finds the ball to Conan. And he'll go over for the first try. Although, now Gibson Park's starting stuff. Gave a big push to the back of one of the Wallabies players. It's all kicking off now. Jake Gordon in the face of Ollie Chisholm. There's going to be some punches thrown if we're not careful here, although they're not allowed to. They should make it like State of Origin, or at least like it was back in the day, how anything that happens in this game doesn't count towards your other contests. Funny how Skelton used to prep Atoje at Saris, says Jeremy. And also we have got their Parks punching bag. Right, they are checking this here for a grounding of Jack Conan, I think. There is a knock-on, says the referee, so it will be no try. And great to see the passion, says Viper. Viper. It's getting rough out there, Hamish. Okay, I finish first, then I listen you, says Andrea Piarni. He said, we cannot have this push and shave throughout the game. Yes, sir, but who started it, says Maro Atoje. And Piari has told him to go back. So I think that there's a little bit of biff going on. And Park punches Skelton and breaks his own hand, says Kelmick. How long is the red card for the Springboks? 4 weeks for Jasper Wiese, I assume is the one that you're talking about. But yeah, Jack Conan trying to get over and just lost that ball in the process. But they did, I believe, still have the penalty advantage. So it will be a 5-metre tap now. Traditionally, we need a huge punch-up, boys. Come on. We need a bucky as both in every Lions tour. Right, quick tap about to be taken by Dan Sheehan. Does go towards the line just that little bit closer. Gibson Park looking short side to Andrew Porter, who's tackled by Skelton. Now 2 metres out from the try line. Was that an advantage arm that came out for Piardi just very briefly? Burn. Again, pick and go. Jack Conan didn't score last time. Wants it this time. He will just be short of the try line yet again. Dan Sheehan with the pick and go. 1 metre, if not less, to the try line. Gibson Park this time. They will look to shift it. Finn Russell goes across to Hugo Keenan, who tries to back his pace, but he's dragged down by Gordon on the ball. A magical steal from Harry Potter, but they will go back for... It was the little half arm that came up from Piardi, and that was for an offside advantage, so they will go back for the penalty again. Come on the line, says Paul. And also, try, says David, although for how long? 3 penalties back-to-back against the Australians. They are really having a scramble here. And it looks like they're giving the ball to Finn Russell, which can bring the line-out chance. Keenan had loads of times to pass there. I was a little bit confused with his choice, because it just seemed like he didn't quite have that speed that he wanted to get through the gap. Oh, no, another tap and go. Dan Sheehan this time feeds it over. Oh, dives over the top of the Australians like he's jumping into a swimming pool, and the Lions are now on the board. We see all the Lions bench as well getting on the field, celebrating, pushing past the Australian team. But now, first drive for Dan Sheehan. Okay, I think Harry Wilson's just saying, is he allowed to jump over our defence? Which is exactly what we saw. Yeah, that's an interesting one, because we've seen those ruled out before. Because you're not really supposed to jump over a tackle. But they've said there you're allowed to dive as long as it isn't a jump. So it will stand for Dan Sheehan. Honestly, it's a tactic that I think more sides should use. Because it was effective, because they were always going low and he just straight over the top. Give that a perfect 10. But now Finn Russell, that's not a 10. That's hit the post. So I will make the score 6 points to 5. You can dive. Can you jump a tackle? Yeah, so you're not allowed to jump over a tackle. Which, that one will still probably be debated. But they're saying he was in the process of a dive. It's only illegal if you dodge a tackle to open play. Or in open play, says Big Rig. I'm pretty sure that's a jump, says Dime Till Death. And also I spoke to Scene, a magical steal from Harry Potter jokes just write themselves, says Fiona. But now nicely taken by the Lions. Sitting about 30 metres out from their line, but it has been a fast-paced 17 minutes. Are you allowed to jump if it's to the try line, right? I believe so. You're allowed to... I don't think jump's the right word because jump makes it sound like it's illegal. But you're allowed to dive towards the try line. As long as that's your act of trying to score, right? But it would have been different, though, had he jumped upwards. More so than forwards. If that makes sense. One of the ones that comes to mind is in Super Rugby a while ago, how we saw, that hurdle. But that's very different when it's an open play. I do a flip, says Big Rig. Oh, big collision, though, between Harry Potter and Hugo Keenan. And come on the Lions. And are you glad to see the Currie Cup is back on New Zealand television? I am, other than the fact that it cut out for 15 minutes yesterday while we were covering it. I don't like reserves coming on the field after the score. It's unsportsmanlike. It's never the best look, I'll be honest, even if they are right there. But, yeah, obviously a very hyped up or very excited bench for the Lions. We have got there. Thanks for the info on jumping over the tackle. It all makes sense, brother Chirkas. And also, please, can we have no more Harry Potter jokes, says David. We'll try our best, but anything that we say, people will reference back. But it's gone down. What if you got tackled in the air? Well, that's the thing. A tackle in the air is normally a penalty, isn't it? So, like I said, if it's all completely fine, we could see quite a few teams actually use it because what can you do to defend it? Because you can't tackle a guy when he's diving in the air because then you're tackling him in the air. So, bit of a cheat code. But it was a perfect dive from Sheehan. I'll give him credit because he just stayed so vertical, didn't he? Or so flat and like a tracer bullet. And about time, says Paul, and come on the Lions. We have got there, Sheehan, always good for a try, says Patrick. He certainly is. Did score the first one of his captain game for the British and Irish Lions too. Loophole, says Isaac. Yeah, a little bit, but it's a very effective one. And to be fair, they were right there on the try line. So had Sheehan not scored that, I'd say one or two phases they would have got over anyway. But back off to the right-hand side, Leonard Cattell. Now passing in behind, finds Liner. Harry Potter with the skip pass out wide. Jorgensen, little chip in behind. The question of whether or not he was taken out. It was run into touch by the Lions. The Wallabies now have a 22-metre line out. Korobetti did a dive and got tackled in the air. South Africa versus Australia in the Rugby Championship, says Power Bite. And also we have there watching from Tenerife, just landed, says John. So, yeah, hopefully you do enjoy your trip. And Lowe took that player out, says Sakabula. And I don't think tackling a diving try counts as tackle in the air. Yeah, see, it's all the technicality of it. But I think it is fine, roughly, for Dan Sheehan. Because you'd assume he wouldn't have done it had he known, oh, yeah, no, Harry Potter's got a sore head. And it looks like, is he going to make his way off the... Oh, no. He hasn't got a... Wait, no, I think he's got a sore head and a sore hamstring. He's having a hard day at the office. What was that spell to make his arm stop being floppy? He needs that one. Sorry, that's the last one. Well, that is canon. Says Big Rig. And the Korobetti tackle where Mapimpi was diving for it, and Korobetti smashed. Where'd that go? Smashed. Was totally legal, and the only thing they did was he didn't wrap, which he did, says Joe. We have got, wow, that's a large super sticker. Matthew, thank you very much. Very greatly appreciated for your generosity there. I did also see on the last live stream you did donate after the stream, which is something we haven't had before on the channel. So, yeah, thank you very much, Matthew, for your generosity. I said no Harry Potter jokes, says David. But sadly, Harry Potter's day is done. He's going to have to make his way off, and I believe that will be Ben Donaldson, or is it McDermott, that they decide to bring out there. A lion symbol does look like the HB houses at a glance. Maybe. But nicely taken. Now going off to the left-hand side for the Australians. Max Jorgensen tackled hard by Curry. So with the 6-2 split, it does mean that the Australians only have one more switch that they are able to make for their backs. Big run from Will Skelton, 20 metres out. Now flat run from Joseph Suali'i. Gordon back across to Nick Frost, building nicely. 6 phases in a row here for the Australians. Gordon goes off to Skelton, 10 metres from the try line. Valentini, pick and go, sits down Porter. Looks like they're trying to get that still there, for the Lions, but no rolling away. Another penalty going against the Lions here. Curry on the ball. And they'll go back for another penalty. Right, this is either an easy 3 or a going for the corner situation. Did the Lions play bad last game? Or if we're talking about that First Nations and Pacifica game, they were good in the first half, but for all of that game, it just felt like the First Nations and Pacifica were going to come back into it for some reason. Again, from the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert. Loving this because there's no TV coverage over here. And a mild, sunny 40 plus degrees Celsius temps. Says James, that is extremely warm. We're currently 5 degrees where I am, so I wouldn't mind a little bit of that heat. But no, thank you very much for tuning in. And come on, the Wallabies, says Sakabula, so they have kicked this one towards the corner now. Rolling more chance. Parecki hanging on to it at the back. It's been dragged down. Itoje jumping over the top of the maul, told to let it go. There have already been multiple penalties here against the British and Irish Lions. And those breakdowns had to be very careful. Another advantage, this time from Hugh Jones. And double blow of the whistle here. Piardi, I believe, is about to give the Lions their last warning. We have it there, Hamish. Have you seen the currency exchange rates for New Zealand and Australia and New Zealand dollars to rand, respectively? I've seen the New Zealand to rand, but not the Australian one. How many warnings is this ref going to give it, Doje? Says Sakabula. Yeah, there's been a fair few, although this one sounded like it was the third and final. Anything else that they do from here will get them in a lot of trouble. The Wallabies, once again, turning down 3. They are kicking for the corner and hoping to force one of the Lions off the field. Come on, ref, show the red, please. Says David, I don't know if we'll see a red as of yet, but a yellow could be very soon if this Lions side don't sort this discipline out. Dave Parecki throwing it in, nicely taken for the Wallabies. Very well set rolling maul. Dan Sheehan told to not change his mind. Now still moving forward. Sheehan just fiddling around in there, trying to get that ball moving. Gordon to the short side, tries to spin. He'll be 1 metre short. Another advantage. Leonard Cattell just short again, although it looked like it might have brushed the line. But already with the advantage, I think someone's about to go to the bin, whether or not the Australians score. Or they do miss out. Mick Wright driving close, 30 centimetres from the try line. Ikatau, short side, goes off leg extension from James Slipper, the veteran. And the Aussies score. Will Piardi reach for the pocket? I've just said there, 146 test matches for James Slipper. He doesn't score very often, but he has now. There's the double blow of the whistle. Is this someone going off now? Was that number 5 or 6? It's a yellow card, and it's for number 14, Tommy Freeman. And he will now make his way from the field for 10 minutes. The Australians are now in the box seat. A yellow card, is this match fixed? No, he's off the field now, Tommy Freeman. I think they were just getting confirmation of what number it was, which is why it took a little bit longer. We give my bro looking after the Tamafriki kids. Says it was there from Blues Night. And nice, says David. Australia's game plan is definitely up front. The pick and go is working, says I. And now Liner with the kick from the sidelines does just miss. I think one of the touch judges almost lifted his flag there, but then put it back down. I got the TV remote again. Excellent commentary. Thanks, Hamish. So Aussies give away penalty after penalty, nothing. Says Andrew Stewart. Are you talking about like a yellow card, or are you talking about just in general? Because we have got the penalty count here. And at the moment, I mean, we've only seen, I think it was the 3 penalties against the up against the Australians at this point in time. Where'd it go? The penalty count. It's disappeared. Right, penalties conceded so far, 5 from the Lions, and that was a little while ago. It hasn't updated over the last 2 or 3. Otherwise, again, starting a Farrell knew Australia were going to be much more physical, says Joe. It is a good question, maybe wanting that chemistry of the Lions front row. Another penalty goes the way of Australia. That was for the knee down. And that's against Maro Itoje yet again, player leaving feet. Other site was asking. Other site was asking. Which site? Like Rugby Pass or something? But now, yeah, we see Atoje there just not quite getting the turnover right. And now I'm having another long net for Aussie. And nice to see Australia competing again. Makes this upcoming championship interesting with Argentina looking strong too. 4 powerhouses of the Southern Hemisphere, says Calvin. Now, ready to throw this ball in. Nicely taken by Parecki. Or thrown by Parecki, I should say. It was taken by Nick Frost. Now Gordon goes short side off to Will Skelton. Does get a leg picked up by Ollie Chisholm there. That's the best way to stop the man from running. Just take his legs off the ground, but he's quite a heavy bloke. Nicely knocked on. Well, not nice for the Australians. Kick downfield from Hugh Jones. For the 50-22, or at least to buy some time for this Lions side. Tom Wright going to back himself. Gets round James Lowe. Tackle attempt round Porter. Offload to Tank McDermott, who sits down Jack Conan, who's looking like he's in La-La land at the moment. Might need the HIA check there for the big Irish number 8. Liner back across to the right. Tom Wright kicks downfield, looking for a 50-22 of his own. Back across covering is Hugo Keenan. Ball dodges him, and it's a 50-22 for the Wallabies. 50-22 says Seller. Did you hear the guy called over and over? We'll get up. We need you. Says, I did not hear that, no. And Tom made the right decision, says Mark. It was a very good kick downfield, and Hugo Keenan, with the way that ball was bouncing, just had unfortunately no option but to either watch it go out or at least touch it, watching it, or touching it and then going out for him. To get around low, that was a good play, says Dave, and it looks like Ollie Chisholm just getting his neck checked here. I'm not actually too sure what happened to him. I know that Jack Conan took a nasty knock, so I actually thought they would have been checking on him, as he did eat the elbow of Tate McDermott, who did make his way onto the field to replace the injured Harry Potter. And we have got there Farrell picked Keenan, who has been sick, one-eyed Farrell. Says Power Bite 92, and come on Aussie, give him stuff, says Sydney. Now just showing there Tate McDermott. He is playing this game out on the wing at this point in time. We're going to see that pass from Tom Wright. Yeah, I think Conan just got his head on the wrong side. It looked like he was pretty slow getting back up. Did not expect to see this when I jumped on, says Dylan. Yeah, the scoreline has been a little bit different, I will mention, than some were anticipating, although it's still very close. The 6 points difference, but another 7 minutes remaining. Tom Curry, big shot on Rob Bellatini. The Wallabies sitting 20 metres out from the British and Irish Lions line. Now Gordon pops it up to Will Skelton. Gordon again finds Suali'i, who is there as first receiver. Looks like Tom Wright's there too. They want to run this one up front, the backs and the forwards. How important do you guys think is Tommy Freeman, says LJ the man? I would say attacking-wise, he's quite an asset to this side. Now off to the right again, though we didn't see a massive amount of him in Test match number 1. Now off to the right-hand side again. But then we also didn't really see Harry Potter, so I think it was just that wing didn't touch the ball a massive amount. Gordon back across to Liner. Now Dave Parecki straightening, hit by Curry. Currently 27.5 minutes through. Liner with the quick hands. Rob Bellatini sells the dummy. Wrestled down by Atoje. 15 metres out from the line now for the Wallabies after 13 phases. And James Slipper, after scoring his try, has another crack. Leonicatau 10 metres out. Nick Frost plays half, gives it off to Dave Parecki, who falls down. Still going backwards. For that ball, says the referee. Will Skelton lying on Tyke Byrne for an extended period of time. Through goes Gordon, and it's another try for the Australians to give them an 11-point lead. Tell you what, whatever's lit the fire under the Wallabies, it has certainly lit a big one, because they are now leading 16 points to 5 up against the Lions. We have got there Big Rig Joe. It's going to be the replay here. Gordon. Oh, yeah, nah, to be fair, Piatti did a very good job of shepherding Porter out of the way of that one. The question is, would he have got to him anyway? I don't know if he would have, but I think he would have still wanted to have at least half a crack of making a tackle on Jake Gordon, as we see the rain is also falling for this game. 28 minutes in, and the Wallabies leading 18 points to the 5. Most Aussies are going crazy in the pub, says Kevin. Most Aussies are going crazy at the MCG. In front of 95,000. And the Australians are making it a game here. Keenan, his tackle attempt was as much as a slap on the arse, unfortunately, on Jake Gordon. Not much of an effort made by the Lions 15. Our Lions getting humped. Well, that's a way of putting it. And the ref says time till death. And almost so Lions, are you guys on the field even, says Rhea. One of them is not. Tommy Freeman still off the field for a little bit longer. And Raymond in Melbourne says Big Rig Joe. And then on the beach, listening to Aussies beating the Lions, thanks to the commentary, says Michael. Well, hopefully the beach is nice and it isn't raining like it is at the game. Nicely taken by Max Jorgensen. Sells the dummy, steps around Ollie Chisholm. And Jorgensen, with the attack and run back from kickoff, makes about 30 metres, or maybe not quite 30, but about 25 now. McWright passes across to Ikadau, open space for the Wallabies again. Suali breaks through the middle, passes off to Tom Wright. It's going to be another one for Australia. And back-to-back tries in 2 minutes. This time, Tom Wright is the man who runs it in. The crowd is going absolutely wild. And so are the Australians. 2 tries in 2 minutes. The yellow card of nightmares for Tommy Freeman, leading to 3 tries for the Australians, as they now continue the attacking onslaught. But the Suali'i breaker the line. Try assist for him. Tom Wright in support. But it all came from the run of Jorgensen. Off the kickoff, the Lions left a massive opportunity for him to make metres. And he made the absolute most of it. And so happy for Australia, says Powerbyte. Although we will mention this game's not over yet. There's still another half. And well, Lions really have just pitched up thinking they've got this, says Andrew. Yeah, now the thing is, right, the Lions throughout this whole tour have been known for having strong first halves and poorer second halves. This game has to be the opposite, as now they will be tasked with 2 converted tries at least behind, up against the Australians heading into that second 40 minutes. And that's a big challenge. But this Lions side, they've got enough world-class talent that I think we might be in for quite a thriller for the end of this one. Crowd going off. Stick to the Lions. Come on, Wallabies. And it's Aussies to lose from here, says Godson. Yeah, they're 23 points to 5 up. Missed kick from Tom Liner. Would have, of course, loved to add the extra 2. But can the Lions now turn this one around? It's kicked off, taken by Jorgensen. They don't want to give him the ball after that last run. Jake Gordon, I think they'll just continue to try and attack here, the Australians. Found quite a few gaps. Still another minute remaining of that yellow card. Our liner has too much draw on his kick, says time till death. Yeah, he does get quite a bit of right to left, doesn't he? Just needed to start it that little bit wider. Jorgensen going up for it, but a great take there from Hugo Keenan. The Lions now in possession on the halfway line. Dan Sheehan trying the step, but does get dragged down by Alan Alatoa, who looked like he might have hurt his arm there in the process. He's kind of grimacing and holding that shoulder very close. Liner dropped the ball, picked up by Chisholm. And a good attacking chance here for the Lions while still down to 14. Byrne with the diving catch. Finn Russell with the skip pass. And Jones puts it down. So they'll go back for the scrum. However, there, crikey, mate, says Albert. The Aussies better play this way the whole game, says Zai. And Schmidt says Russ. Wait until the Irish media blame the Scottish for bad first half, says Bowerby. And expensive cards, says Godzone. Definitely because the try was scored as the yellow card was about to be given as well. You know, that first one a slipper, and then from there, the thing is though, yes, having that extra man might have been quite handy, but I don't know whether or not it would have changed the 2 tries that we've seen. Because Australia have just found so much open space in the middle of the field rather than out in the wide channels. And let's go Wallabies, says just a South African, and also bringing Africa to Australia, says Russ. And good for the Wallabies to start their rugby championship against the Box. Says Blues, now I'm not judging Hugh Jones. If he plays badly, the management missed I missed higher around, or missed him around all week. Says Bower Bite. But now back to 15 on 15 here for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. 7 minutes remaining in the first half. Great commentary as always. Thank you, Hamish. Says Reese, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you being here. Just tuned in. How did Wallabies be so far in front? I would just say the discipline of the Lions has been poor so far. I believe about 8 tries. Oh, sorry, not 8 tries. 8 penalties against them. And then 3 tries being scored around a yellow card period of Tommy Freeman. And now Gibson Park ready to put this ball in for the Lions. They love nothing more than to fire back behind or just before this first half. Gabble knocked down by Leonard Cadell, but finds Hugo Keaton. One more pass on the outside. Goes to Freeman, who wants to make up for his lost time. So then 5 metres out from the try line now for the Lions. Gibson Park, Finn Russell finds Tyke Byrne, who's met with a big shot and a hand in the face from Will Skelton. That man's definitely not trying to make any friends. Now Gibson Park off to Conan, pops it over the top. Tom Curry with the step around Gordon, and he will score the try. Throws the ball up in the air in celebration. And the Lions now have got their second. That has now got the British and Irish Lions fans back on their feet at the MCG. The counter-attack off a mistake of the Australians. We have got there now. We have a game. Says Power Bite. And also we have got there. Try, says Roof there. And also, come on, you Wallabies. Says Victor. And come on, Aussie, level the series. And Hamish, the truth is your commentary is out of the top draw seats given. To appreciate that a lot. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are going to be live for plenty more matches for this year. Of course, just the one more of this British and Irish Lions. And that is the third test. We are still waiting to find out. Will it be the decider or will it be the clean sweep opportunity for the Lions? But Finn Russell to line up this kick. They are currently down by 13. We have got there. I just stepped out for a bit. Looks like I missed out much. It was 6-5. Says Roger. Finn Russell getting ready to align this one up. And just drifts a little bit on that breeze. Does keep it sitting 23 points to 10. If the Wallabies win, will you shave the mustache? No, we'll probably keep it on the face. When I don't have a mustache, I look like a little bit like a child. I'll admit when I'm clean shaven, so we'll try and avoid that. And we have got there what Lions? Those are glorified ginger cats. Ginger cats are feisty though. You ever tried to fight a ginger cat, or at least wind one up? It will rip your throat out. But now sitting on the halfway line. Chance here, Tom Wright. About 40 metres out from the try line. Jake Gordon off to Alan Alatoa. We sit 36 minutes through this game. And it is still a back and forth kind of matchup between these two teams. And now another penalty, although this time going in favour of the Lions. Game is far from over. Exactly right. Like there is still so much time. I'm just checking the odds at the moment. And it does seem that it's actually the Australians who are slight favourite, just as we currently sit. And Curry's a weirdo, celebrates penalties like he's Tiger Woods sinking a putt. Says starts race. I think he's probably either learnt it from Ben Earl or Ben Earl's learnt it from him. And those two are a perfect pairing. And we have got there, when does Big Faz bring on Owen Faz? I think he'll wait a little bit longer. I don't think Russell's done too much wrong, with the exception of, I know he's missed a couple of the kicks and whatnot, but I don't think he's done too much wrong on attack so far. So I honestly think that we could see Owen Farrell brought in the midfield. But Dan Sheehan now running forward. 5 metres out from the line. The Lions trying to fire back. Hugh Jones pops it up to Jack Conan. Are they going back to back just before the halftime break for the Lions? Ollie Chisholm. Now passing across. Dan Sheehan trying to show off that fancy footwork. Again, the Australian discipline has to be on point. Hugo Keaton off to Jones, who's got it down. And now the Lions, just like that, have found their way back in the game. This one is going to be a hard one to predict. But 37 minutes in, look how quickly these tries have been scored. Since the 23rd minute, We have had 5 tries in this contest. In 14 minutes, 5 tries. That doesn't math very easily. Wallabies joking says freedom there. Let's go Soali and Ikitau, says John. And Aussie blowing it, says God's Yeah, the lead that they worked so hard to create, they have now gifted the chance straight back to the Lions, who have just been relentless on the attack. It's a great game, says the Yeti. Yeah, it's definitely been the most entertaining game of the British and Irish Lions game or series so far, and we're only in the first half. It's 15-15 for the rest of the game. I think Lions will edge it. Or if it's 15, says Eugene. And we have got there, feels like Jeffy and South in the ground using the force of this game. Kiwis own Chokers title. Which competition for? For the British and Irish Lions. The big collision there between Jorgensen and Tate McDermott. Are you behind like mad? It's 23-17. It's currently 23-17 for myself, Ryan. But now, going to be kicked off by the Wallabies. Tom Liner. It's a deep, sitting about 5 metres out from the line. Great Australia. Says Andrew, what a game. Says just poker. Now, taken by Tom right next to the sideline. It's Tom Liner with him, but decides to bump off Gibson Park. And I hope Australia win to make third test the decider, says Toby is cool. That would be the ideal scenario if we end up seeing the 1-1. But honestly, like if Australia blow the lead that they had here, then you'd have to say the Lions do thoroughly deserve the win. Nicely taken. Now being told to use it 87 to 2011. Says Russ. And there as well. Geez, so you're really feeling the ones from the past, aren't you? Now Gordon rolling it back. Will be another opportunity to kick high. No, in fact, he's going to go to Rob Valentini first. If he had the worst game back on now. Says Patrick. Now nicely taken. Len Ikitau. Thought about the pass. Stepping through. Hugh Jones trying to tackle him around the collar, it seemed. Now Gibson Park looking for the steal, knocks it on. Gordon picks it up. And the Wallabies now right on the halftime siren. They will get the last attacking chance. Atoje will do something dumb, says David. Oh no, they're going to call it as the knock-on, which brings halftime. And the score will be 23 points to 17. So, in what has been an extremely eventful first 40 minutes. Love listening for Dubai. Your lifesaver, says Knock. And yeah, we are going to be here for the third test match as well. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. What a game, says Power Bite. Yeah, like I said, probably the best game of the British and Irish Lions series that we've seen so far. And we're only 40 minutes in. Both sides showing they have got a real hunger to try and win this game. The Lions had a weird way of showing it for about 10 minutes. But after that, they're straight back into their work. And if anything, that yellow card seems to have fired them up that little bit more. I'm trying to get ready for work with you on the telly. Every time your voice raises, I whip my head around to hear what's going on. Says SP. Yeah, that first half was hectic. Like I said, 5 tries in 14 minutes is something that you don't really expect from a test match between these two teams. But it is what we got. 40 points, slightly surprised. 23 for Osbury. And great stuff, says Studs Race. I think Hamish is going to be able to hear Andy Farrell and Schmidt screaming at his players all the way in New Zealand, says Big Rig. And we have got there 24 years, favourite every World Cup. Says Russ in there. And we have got a good game. Yeah, Russ, really. Are you from New Zealand, Russ, or are you just someone who hates New Zealand out of curiosity? Because I feel like there's either something emotionally there that's really burning inside, or you just can't let something go. We have got the Aussies add lethal backs. With any space, watch out, ABs. So it isn't gonna be easy, says Leighton. Well, to be fair, last year Australia in that first Test match, if it wasn't for, I believe it was that timed out kick, wasn't it? Australia could have won that contest. Wildcards, Neighbours. I have got their noise cancelling headphones on, says Cal Mack. And who hates New Zealand? It's one of the most chilled countries on earth. Let us will decide who takes on the box, says Russ. For like the 2027 World Cup, are you saying, Russ? Because like those games are happening at the end of the Rugby Championship, so no one takes on the box till next year after. Hamish, am I emotional? It depends on the day, cool story. Sheehan and Jones, a hat-trick, second half, says Ruth. And then 2017, Lions test, Kyle Sinclair jumps to catch Conor Murray's pass and is tackled in the air, literally 2 inches in the air. Ref awards penalty to the Lions, says Johnny Blaze. And looking worried if we didn't get those 2 quick tries before the halftime. yeah, I think that the Lions did extremely well to be able to fire back the way that they did, because it's very easy once you're down by that margin to just kind of go, this game's slipped away. But they went, nah, we need to get back into this before halftime. And not only did they get one, but they got two from that first half, or that last kind of 5 or so minutes. And emotional for Ozzy Osbourne, says Ruth. A referee, says Terry. What about Mr. Referee? What about Andrea Piardi? I love the commentary. No stream with Sundays. So you're something from Rich, but I do appreciate you being here. Oh, lifesaver. There we go. And we have good there. What did you think of the flying Sheehan? It was something that we haven't really seen someone do in quite some time. But boy, was it effective. His technique was perfect because he didn't go up. He just went out. You know, and just like a plane that was getting ready for a landing. He just kind of, angled his way and just went nicely over. Jake Gordon ran behind the referee for his try. Says Kiwi Rob, that is true, but I don't think Gordon can be blamed for that. I think that's down to refereeing positions. But, yeah, Piardi got himself slightly out. There's no guarantee that Porter would have made that tackle anyway, but it would have been nice to at least see him get to have a crack at it. I think the Lions are going to maul the Wallabies in the second half, says Afsil. Will Itoje be sub? 3 penalties led to a yellow card for the team and no leadership, says Architect. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see James Ryan come on relatively early in this half. I do think that Ollie Chisholm did all right in the other locking jersey, but would they consider it too much of a risk to just take the skipper off after 50 or so minutes? Like, I assume that they're going to want to keep him out there for that little bit longer, even though at this point he has been a bit of a walking penalty. And good morning from Jacksonville, Florida, and 6:55 a.m. Time for coffee and scrambled eggs. Appreciation for the commentary, says Pam there. Yeah, greatly appreciate you being here. Nice early morning start for yourself. But yeah, we have got the third match taking place next week as well, which we are going to be covering on the channel. And we have got there, please make my day. Australia beat these boys. And we have got there, how do I get my photo on this chat in the thumbnail? Is it in settings or privacy? I think it's through your Google account. And maybe the settings of your Google. Like if you type in just Google, and then the top right corner, it should have the little picture of you. Well, at least the picture of the R. And then from there, I believe you can go into the settings and switch it like that. Peter O'Mahony was captain. I was left out of the second test, says S. Kenny. And we have got there, found in the attic at home, says Patrick. And we have got there, the stronger Australia becomes in the second half, the more I'm looking forward to the South African tour, says Robert. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Australia have had some really good moments throughout this game. They have won 11 lineouts, 100% accuracy in that regard. The Lions have only had 3 lineouts. They have won 100% of theirs. And they've also made a lot of meters when they've tried to get that line out going. We've seen post-contact meters an extra 102 for the Australians with 185. 5 line breaks for Australia compared to the 1 of the Lions. Now, just to put that into perspective, for Test match number 1, Australia had 5 throughout the 80 minutes, and then the Lions had 7. So Australia already doing what they did in the last half, or the last match. They still have another half still remaining. James Ryan does all the unseen dirty work. He's a classy player, yeah, which is why I don't think Andy Farrell would be a mile away from considering that switch, although it's just whether or not, that's the thing. How much longer does Andy Farrell have to, Itoje's only theoretically, right, this sounds bad, because of course, your captain and your coach want to be on the same page, but if he takes Itoje off soon, Itoje's going to be annoyed at him for a week, and then they're done. They don't have to worry about it. No more being together for the next 4 years. And that's only if Itoje and Andy Farrell both are on that next British and Irish Lions tour. So in that case, I don't think you can worry about the backlash of taking him off. I think if it's the best option, you got to do it. Itoje has a past history of giving penalties away. He's been a bit better as of late, but old habits die hard. Yeah, and this game, it's been a shame because you can see that he's trying to get things going, but it just hasn't happened for him. Itoje has a grown-up. He pouts because he's subbed off. He's in the wrong game, says Big Rig. And we have got there, can you give a shout-out to my missus? Her name is Rose. And thank you for putting up with my loud support for the Wallabies. Thank you in advance, says Trilly. So, yeah, big shout-out to Rose for putting Wait, is your name Trilly? Or I can call you just, won't call you a name, I guess. But yeah, big thank you to Rose for putting up with someone being very loud, spoiling the Wallabies. I can tell you right now, the MCG was extremely loud when the Wallabies were on a roll in that first half, but I do think that they got a little bit more quiet when the 2 quick-fire tries from the British and Irish Lions came back, who are tackling at an 84% throughout that first half. They made 102 tackles, whereas the Wallabies, they are tackling at 90%, making 54, missing the 6. And greetings from Argentina. I don't see the Wallabies keeping up with the Lions bench in the second half. British and Irish Lions by 12, in my opinion. Says Santiago. Yeah, see, that's the thing. So many times we have seen the British and Irish Lions be in a dominant position for a first half, and then they drop off in the second. Whereas in this case, they can't drop off in the second, because if they do, they're gone. So I'm just going to have a quick look here. The first match between these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. At half-time, it was 5 points to 17. So the British and Irish Lions got themselves 10 points in the second half. Australia got 14. In that match up against the First Nations and Pacifica XV, we did see the Lions score 10 points in the second half. So that's a relatively common number at the moment. We'll go on to the AU-NZ side. That game was a bit different, but then that was also because there was no defence coming through in that contest. And the match up against the Brumbies, they managed to get themselves 17 points in the second half. The game up against the Waratahs, they only got themselves 7. So there is a trend, which is second halves of games of rugby for the British and Irish Lions, they can take their foot off the gas. But then once again, that could be because they've been leading. In this game, they are far from it. 6 points. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it can feel like a lot if you end up giving away an early penalty or anything along those lines that then make it more than the converted try. But looking through at their benches for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen, for the Australians, they have got Billy Pollard, Angus Bell, and Tom Robertson there as the number 18. Jeremy Williams, who was starting in the last game, will make his way off the bench at some point, although it's pretty hard to take off Frost or Skelton with the way they've been playing in the first 40. In terms of the rest of the forwards, they've got Langy Gleeson and Carlo Tazzano, so deciding to go with both loose forwards for this game. And then McDermott made his way onto the field due to the injury of Harry Potter. And then also Ben Donaldson there as the number 23 for the British and Irish Lions. They are yet to make any changes, but I don't think they'll be a mile off just to try and find some sort of gel for the second half. McKellar and Ginge alongside Will Stewart. They will be the front row replacements. James Ryan, I honestly don't think he'll be a mile off making his way onto the field, just because it sounds harsh, and I know he's the captain, but Atoje's been a little bit off here for this game, so perhaps a change wouldn't be an awful plan. Jack Morgan will be as the number 20. The other option, of course, you could look at is maybe putting, I was going to say maybe you could put Jack Morgan on and then move Tyke Byrne into the locking duo or something like that, rather than bringing on a lock straight swapper James Ryan. Alex Mitchell there. Also alongside that, there is Owen Farrell and then also Blair Kinghorn as the number 23. We have got there, thanks, call me Trilly. She wants to shout out her name, which is, how do I pronounce that? Is that like a bad word or anything, or is it all right? So I know your original name for her was something very different. And Box fan here on the beach in Turkey, listening to your brilliant commentary. 40-degree heat here, go Australia. There's a lot of people in 40-degree Celsius temperatures at the moment. So it's very nice around the world, everywhere apart from here where it is 5 degrees. As we currently sit, Pollard, Stewart and Farrell on the bench is wild, says Big Rig. And also we go there, just joined the live. Did you say Harry Potter is playing? How cool. He was. Sadly did get injured in that first half and did not magically recover. No, we can't keep making puns about the bloke. Unless he likes them, I don't know whether or not he feels like annoyed by people making them, or whether he's like, yeah, no, I walked into that one. How do you end up with a halfback on the wing after one winger down? Says Leighton, because of the 6-2 split, they only had Ben Donaldson as the other option. So Dave McDermott, like they said, he's got quite a bit of experience in the 7 side of things in terms of having versatile nature of positioning. So, you know, they've chucked him out on the wing. It's not the first time we've seen a winger out on, a halfback out on the wing. He hasn't done too bad, though, throughout the early stages of this match. Sat down Jack Conan, which is something not many people would have been expected. Itoje only in the team because he's captain, doesn't do team talk. Leave that to Genge. It's not leading by example. Get him off. Says Fraser. If the Wallabies win this, that's pretty huge for a union in Australia. Absolutely. If we go to the third match and it is a decider, like, I'm going to be very excited. Like, that's the thing. If the Lions win 2-0, they would thoroughly deserve it. They've had a very good tour. Don't get me wrong. But just going into that third match 1-1, the atmosphere that it's going to bring, the excitement from around the world for that match, the anticipation, like, it would just make it worth it from a neutral standpoint. Like, I'd love to see it. I do also think that if it was 1-1, we would also get to see a few more changes made for these two teams. Like, don't get me wrong, this Lions side, there are some players out there who have done very well, but I also do think that some guys maybe could be replaced with more informed players. Hamish likes those big Hollywood finishes. And hi, Hamish, good to see you again, says Carlin. Same to you. Yeah, hopefully you are excited for the Curry Cup that is coming up a little bit later on. We are doing the Lions versus Sharks game as well as the Western Province versus the Bulls. How does it feel being the biggest live commentary channel on YouTube? I don't think I'm the biggest by far. I think there are a lot more bigger ones. I know that for rugby we do all right for ourselves, but yeah, there'd certainly be bigger watch-alongs around the world. I think definitely in football. I think Mark Goldbridge probably has that one covered, doesn't he? And the G is pumping, says it was there from Gus. Yeah, the MCG is very loud. And even in the rain, it seems like no one's worried about the weather. They are just loving the action that we have seen. It's gone back and forth throughout this game. Like I mentioned, 5 tries in 14 minutes in the second half, in the second quarter of this game. It's going to be good. Second half just about to take place. Both sides making their way out of the tunnel. If you guys haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So we are going to be back next week for match number 3. James Lowe is a player who I have hardly seen in this matchup. It's bouncing down now, says Hanger Rat. Yeah, no, I don't watch them though. So who are they? Says Iskini. So they are the South African provincial sides. A lot of the guys from the URC playing in those ones. Second half is going to be a good half. And hi, mate, from Florida as of today. Who do you think is number 1? The informed team in the world? We talking about like club or international? Because international-wise, like the thing is, it's very hard to judge because, you know, it would be easy to say South Africa because they got 3 wins, but then, of course, they were playing sides that were a little bit different. But I'd still probably go South Africa for the way that they've played throughout the last 12 months or so. International, yeah, so I don't think that you could debate South Africa too much. Like, yes, they had a couple shaky moments, but they still won their games comfortably, and they still showed the amount of depth that they have got. France, their young side actually did pretty well, I thought, up against New Zealand. So I look forward to seeing those senior players returning in November. Do you guys drink Carlsberg? Because it is a good call, says the internet kid. Carlsberg, because is that like their slogan? Maybe. You excited for the NPC? I'm very excited. I'm hoping to do a few of the games on the channel as well while we're at it. Now getting ready to throw this one, and it will be Finn Russell, Dave Parecki. Oh, sorry, it will be Dave Parecki. I don't know why I said Finn Russell. I think it was because they were showing him. Now nicely taken by Nick Frost. Around the halfway line for the Australians. Rush defence from Sheehan. Just tries to absolutely flatten Tom Liner. He gets back up to his feet. I do see that Angus Bell is on the field. So that is the change of James Slipper. And also Tom Robertson is on for Alan Alatoa. In fact, Langy Gleeson's on too. How many changes did we see for the Australians? The Rob Valentini taken off is a really intriguing one here. They advertised here in the UK. The Australians is active saying that I don't get, you don't know, says an internet kid. I honestly, like, outside of doing these streams, I don't see a lot of TV and whatnot. Now, Harry Wilson knocking the ball on. I'll go back for the initial knock on first, which was from the Lions, Angus Bell. Go on, my son. And Peroni's the best BS, says Patrick, knock on Australia, scrum Lions. And also a great commentary says, good up. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Is Tazano on? He is not. So it's just Rob Valentini, Alan Alatoa, and James Slipper, the 3 guys that they've taken off. Here is 4 so far from the Lions compared to the 2 of the Australians. And looking a little bit of Lions, says Rhea. And Australians blowing hard already, says ANFG. Well, that's the thing. It's been a high tempo, and I do think that their tactic was probably try and empty the gas tank a bit in that first half, because that's normally when we see the Lions at their best. Second halves, like I said, their last 2 or so games, they've only scored the 10 points in the second half. And then that last match up against the Australians outscored them in the second 40. Now Jake Gordon to feed this ball in for the scrum. Harry Wilson, an option off the back of the scrum if needed. Langy Gleeson packing down on this near side. But Gordon goes across to Lenakitau. Runs it straight at Finn Russell. Off to the left again. Gordon goes to Langy Gleeson for his first carry, and the penalty there. Going against Australia for diving it off the feet from Harry Wilson. And what's the Lions doing wrong here? Are Australia hungrier for victory? I think that their discipline in that first half for the Lions really did let them down. Also, 4 handling errors haven't been the best start either. But when they get it going, they're doing not too badly. What's your prediction on the Box and the All Blacks first game? They both should win, but they might be a little bit closer than we think. Yeah, the big shot from Jack Conan there. And then Harry Wilson just going through the middle of the breakdown. Getting himself penalised. But Dan Sheehan now with the line out throw. About 38 metres out from Australia's line. Taken by Chesham. Oh, Tyke Byrne. Tried the pass across, goes in behind, finds Freeman. Now the big shot coming in from Will Skelton. He's had a solid enough game since returning for the Australians, getting held in the breakdown at the moment from Maro Itoje. I think he was trying to maybe wind up the big man a little bit. Didn't quite work. Now pick and go from Byrne, the workhorse of this Lions side. Always working hard, but has knocked the ball on the ground. Kangaroos playing well, says Marcus Evans. And also we have got there, so do you think South Africa nervous watching this game? I think they're looking at the Wallabies going, we can beat those lads, says Big Rig. Well, I think it's very hard to know what the South Africans are thinking after time. Like Rassie, as soon as you think you've got his pattern worked out, he changes it. So, you know, for all we know, he might not even watch this game as a bit of a power play and say, nah, I don't need to see them because we're going to beat them anyway. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. But scrum chance now, 44 minutes down in this contest, and still that 6-point lead for the Australians. They do need another try, preferably converted. They will need it in the near future. We see there the timeline of this game. 17 minutes was the first try, and then since then we have had 5 more. Now, ready to go across there. Kicking it in behind. Liner looking for the 50-22. Oh, he might have just kept that one in for Hugo Keenan. And we have got the Owen Farrell gets peace. Sayers going back in good skills. And I was a Kangaroos wrong code, says Paul Thompson. I couldn't be bothered correcting him, but yeah. It might just be because that's like some sort of inside joke maybe that we don't know about. Nicely done by Hugo Keenan to keep that ball alive. He was already caught out by a 50-22 in the first half. Now Dave Parecki. Another line-out throw for the Wallabies. Taken at the front by Nick Frost. Gordon goes across to Tom Liner. Rush defence from Russell, who once again makes a very strong tackle on Lenakitau. He's been putting his body on the line throughout this game. Russell, big run from Skelton, who has his knees chopped out from underneath him by Dan Sheehan. Gordon cross to Harry Wilson. Gordon again goes to Joseph Suali'i. Tackled by Maro Itoje. Oh, you're taking off the Farrell, Hugh Jones. Oh, Angus Bell almost gone through. I don't know, because Hugh Jones actually, like, I'll be honest, hasn't been that bad today. I know that some people wanted to sack him earlier on, but he got that try and he's run some good lines from their number 13 jersey. And I think as this match has worn on, he's actually got a little bit more into it. But then I don't think you can take Bundy Aki off, even though I just haven't really seen him throughout a majority of this game. In fact, I want to know how many carries he's had, and luckily I've got the stats to tell us. How many carries has Bundy Aki done in this game? He has made 7 tackles, I do see. How many carries has he had? Bundy, where's Bundy? He's had 2 carries in this game. Hugh Jones has had 1 apparently, though. Now Jack Conan. And I thought I had to scroll a long way down to find him. And Hugh Jones is an outside centre. The one position Owen Farrell is not, says Power Bite. So yeah, unless they were trying to do like a little bit of a reshuffle, which I don't know whether or not they would stick Archie to 13. And surely Skelton and Valentini can play 60, 70 minutes at least. Well, it looks like Skelton's going. Oh, hang on. No, they're taking Skelton off. Why? He had a very good game. He's a little bit ginger, making his way off. So I wonder whether or not maybe something's happened. I honestly think it could have been that tackle that Sheehan got on him. He did go right diving at the knees. And Skelton kind of did look very slow getting up from it, going to the front. Langy Gleeson went short to Bareki and a mistake made by Australia. Line out now for the Lions. Mitch time soon, says Patrick. Yeah, we are seeing a lot of changes. Can't believe Skelton is off. Probably need to rest him for next week. And Skelton must be injured. Yeah, I think it was that shot to the kneecap that made him get a little bit less stable on the feet. Do Australia have the 6-2? They do, and they have actually made 4 of those changes already. In fact, they've made 5 now. This is their bloody full-time job. They should have elite cardio. Says I. Do you know about Hulk Hogan? I do indeed, yes. And Tom Wright is on right now, says Chris Lord. And the British and Irish Lions made any changes yet? Not at this point. Although it sounds like the bench is getting warm because we just heard a boo go around the ground, which means the camera showed Owen Farrell. Now Gibson Park, 22 metres out from their line near the lines, already 48 minutes through. It seems to be the first 10 minutes of each half has just gone and disappeared. Do you think the Lions squad could be the problem for their trial in this match? Says Cristiano. Oh, another scrum reset. I do think that maybe a couple changes could have been made to this Lions side that weren't after Test match number 1. But I still think it's a strong enough team to win this game. They've shown that all throughout this series. And great cover, buddy. First time here as I'm on holiday with the family. So we'll be back next Saturday too. Says Phil Keane. Well, it is greatly appreciated you tuning in. The question I have for you, Phil. Of course, I assume you want the Lions to win. But would you, in some little part, prefer a 1-1 heading into the third? Just for that excitement level. Tackles 111 made. The Lions tackling at 78% throughout this game. We have there wonder why they chose MCG instead of AMI Park and Marble Stadium. Guessing MCG has bigger capacity. Yeah, they've got 95,000 in attendance for this game. So that'll be the big gist of why. But now Finn Russell goes across there. Nice step from Hugh Jones. Fend on Len Ikitau. Now the Lions crowd singing along in the stands. Finn Russell kicks downfield out on the full. One of the first mistakes for that man in this match. Sorry, boys, is the comment. Get Finn Russell off. Give Owen the ball. Says Tanner there. And where do the Australians come from? Green and gold. Looks like green and orange to me. Green and gold refers to the Springboks. It always has done. Now, with the green and gold, of course, they never used to be sponsored by Cadbury. That was probably the big changing point. When they started getting the purple on the front of the jerseys did change colour to more of that orange-ish colour. We're now going over the top. Now, Leonard Katau trying to sneak his way through, stumbled onto your channel on holiday in Greece and no TV in sight. Great chat here. Says Ben, yeah, we're extremely fortunate with the amount of people who pop in all around the world and also just love talking about the rugby. Yeah, hopefully the holiday is going great. For yourself, Bundyaki in the breakdown. Oh, come on, ref. You got to at least tell him there. Piatti made direct eye contact with Bundyaki. Aki had the ball and he was grabbing it and went, am I allowed to do this? And the ref went, and Bundyaki's going, and the ref went, advantage against you. And Bundy went, nah. But he might be the one who subbed off here. If he's not careful, Bundyaki. Now Tate McDermott breaks through. Maru Atoje just gets the ankle tap on him. But Tom Wright tried to go to the short side. He's lined up by Tommy Freeman. Australia in a very good position on the field. How many minutes remaining at the moment? There are 29 minutes left in this contest. Langy Gleeson, 2-man tackle on him. They have still got the penalty advantage. River Sleevy says big rig and good game. Aussie says Angie. And let's go. Aussie says Manatee. Now Angus Bell tries to fend off Tyke Byrne and he has collapsed backwards in an awkward heap. McWright, Langy Gleeson gets through one tackle, pops the ball up. to Jeremy Williams. He made his way on for Will Skelton, skip pass out to Max Jorgensen. Hasn't had the ball a huge amount, but one of the times that he had it, did help set up a try. We have got there, slept in, missed the entire first half, well, I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out when you get the chance. It was a very entertaining, fast-paced one. And how's Tom Lynart playing? He's been all right so far. Showed a little bit more composure, I would say, than we saw in the first match. And perhaps that was just because now he's got the game under the belt. And we have got the advantage should have been over a long time ago. Yeah, that one's going right back for that Bundy Aki steal, which we talked about a good 2 minutes ago. Dot goal for the Wallabies. Well, this could be an easy 3 if they do want it. Now, popped in from the real South Wales, says Tariq there. Line some good, some bad. Yeah, I feel like he's played like a young fly half in terms of, he has some good moments, but then also, a couple shaky ones thrown in there too. I stumbled on the channel in Greece. Can you do a shout out for my son, Iago? Hopefully I've said that correctly. Fingers crossed for 1-1, says Donny. A lot of people seem to be on holiday in Greece at the moment. Definitely Lions supporters. Is that like a common getaway location this time of year, I guess? That one has gone over, making the score now 9 points in favour of the Australians, 26 points to 17. And they need to take the 3, yeah, exactly right. That 3 puts them in a very nice spot now. Be able to get something really going forward. And go, you good thing, Aussie, 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 says Mega World. And who's got Greece money these days, says Zai. Oh, tell you what, almost breaking through again was Jake Gordon, 40 metres out from the line. The Australians, they've actually done very well off the kickoffs, being able to make those instant meters. Lions not tackling well. Yeah, about the lowest we've seen them tackle throughout this whole competition, with about 78% throughout this first 54 minutes. Interesting. So Wayne Barnes, the referee, did to Savia in the World Cup final. Says Powerbite 92. And just back from Corfu in Greece, too hot, 35 degrees Celsius, says Steve. So it must be summer in Greece, isn't it, at this point in time? I'm terrible with my time zones, not my time zones, but my seasons around the world. Gordon kicks it high. Max Jorgensen chasing after it, slaps it back into the field of play, I should say. Get the L in there, but now a step there from McRoy. Swali'i knocks it on. Just needed that one more pass on, and it could have been danger for the Lions again. Our Wallabies on the charge. Great game. Says Strictly Rugby, maybe 10% would enjoy, but they always best to cement a W. Says Phil. Yeah, I do think that the Lions going into the third match will make more changes if they're 2-0 up, because at the end of the day, of course, they wouldn't want to lose that third one, but they can't afford to lose it if you're already one of those series. I get why people want it to be 1-1, but honestly, I'd rather 2-0, and it'd be a boring game next week, just so the Lions can secure the games. If that makes sense, says SP. I get you. I feel like there'd be a lot less stress and a lot less, hearts flying at 1,000 miles an hour next week if it wasn't 1-1. Andrew Porter, he's going to make his way off the field. Same with Tom Curry. Did score the try earlier on in the match in the 34th minute. Just 25 minutes now remaining. We have got there, the $3 million man drops the ball. Your winter is our summer, says Calmac. And so Ali'i is one step behind, says Dime Till Deaf, and Greece is 40 degrees Celsius in July and August. Big holiday destination for Brits. 40 degrees is a bit warm though, isn't it? Well, I guess it depends though, because sometimes 40 degrees doesn't feel like 40 degrees if, certain, things are working. That was not a sentence. I meant how sometimes if it's 25 degrees but it's really humid, it can feel hotter than 40? Now, ready to put this ball in Gibson Park? You can see why I didn't become a science teacher, can't you? Putting the ball in now. Science of the scrums has been working quite well for both sides in this game, but the Lions have got themselves another penalty advantage. Gibson Park goes across to James Lowe, had a little bit of a juggle of it. Tries to fend off Gordon. Now Hugh Jones breaking the line again. Grubber in behind, but it sits up, and they will go right back 40 metres for the penalty. We have good there. Good game, Aussies. A bit too arrogant, says Angie. Wait, so the Aussies are arrogant or the Lions are arrogant? Angie, do let me know. The game hasn't been decided. No, not at all. Like 9 points is nice. Don't get me wrong. Australia will like that. But it's not enough. We saw 2 quick fire tries. We'll see it coming along the bottom in the very near future. How we saw Tom Curry as well as as well as Hugh Jones scoring 3 minutes apart. We neutrals don't want a boring dead rubber game next weekend. Come on, the Wallabies, says Victor. The Lions arrogant, says Angie. And I'm kind of tired of these long advantages. Lions just made 30 metres off that scrum, says Studs Rays, and Jack Morgan to come on and win the game. The lone Welshman, the weight of a nation's on his shoulder. Okay, Dave Parecki's going off for Billy Pollard, I do hear. Has that change been made, though? Yes, it has. Dave Parecki now making his way off. 25 minutes to go, says David. Yeah, the clock is counting down very quickly in this contest for the Lions. Oh, almost charged down by Jeremy Williams, but it kicked high by the Lions. That one almost went backwards, and a really swirling kick from Gibson Park. And Lions failed with basic mistakes, says Seller. And thanks for this, as an Aussie living in the UK, thanks for the commentary, mate. Says Dunny from Down Under. Well, I do appreciate you being here. I am going to be back next week as well for the last match of the series, so be sure to tune in. Also, the Wallabies, their Rugby Championship campaign, I will be covering on the channel too, alongside the November Internationals and a whole heap more rugby just around the corner. Lingy Gleeson tackled low there, trying to get the steal in the breakdown with Sheehan, but lost his footing. I do see that Jack Morgan and James Ryan have both made their way onto the field, but to my surprise, Maro Itoje still out there on the field. I would have thought he was one of the guys that they would have looked at subbing, but I believe they've taken Chisholm off alongside Curry. Now a little bit of a counter-ruck there from the Australians. Billy Pollard trying to make his way through just to make it awkward for Jamison Gibson Park. And, there's Aki. Yeah, Bundy Aki now ball in hand, and he breaks the line. Gordon almost manages to stop him. James Ryan receiving the offload there, sitting 40 metres out from the line now for the Lions. Gibson Park crossed to Ellis. Genge didn't go short to Morgan. I think they're going to ask for the not rolling away penalty, but the referee will not give it against Gleeson. James Ryan, tackled by Fraser McWright. This is now down to the important last quarter of this fixture. Suali'i makes the tackle on Jones. Gibson Park back across to Russell. Bit of a slip there from the defence of Australia. I believe it was Tom Robinson went down and almost left a vital gap for the British and Irish Lions. Early tackle there on Jack Morgan. Probably was about 1 second too soon from Tom Robinson. Ref says nothing. Now Gibson Park trying to step through. Tom Wright looking to hold him up off the turf. Maro Itoje, pick and go. 12 phases in a row now for the Lions. The crowd are well and truly getting behind them, trying to will them over the try line. Tommy Freeman, another pick and go. Now 8 metres from the try line. Gibson Park out to James Lowe. Tries to fend on Ikitau. Gets through. Offloads to Byrne, who finishes it off. Mr. Workhorse gets his drive for the Lions. And they're now once again back into this game. The Aussies just can't put this one to bed. But Tyke Byrne has got himself another try for the toy. His second, but a crucial one here for the British and Irish Lions. And this game is all over the place. Yeah, it's very unpredictable, I think is the best way of describing it. Neither of these sides look like they're going to lose, but at times neither of them look like they're going to win. And thanks for your commentary currently in Samoa on 1 bar of dial-up, says Jason. Well, hopefully it is working all right for you, and you are loving Samoa at this point in time. We're seeing there a Wallabies or an Australian pub somewhere. There's like 3 people clapping for the Lions. The rest of the Australians looking disappointed with their one Aussie tank empty, says Eric there. And the kick has gone over, making the score now 24-26. Joe Schmidt must be on the edge of the seat. I think that there's 95,000 people at the MCG on the edge of their seat for this game. We have a go. Like I said, the Wallabies are going to win this one. But it's going to be a close one for them, says Sebastian. 5 minutes tackles in a row, says they're tired. Says Eric there. Good attack and play from the Lions. And we have got there Man, as a box supporter, I have to say I'm worried to face this Wallabies team. Look dangerous with ball in hand, CP. And also, hey, they actually made a conversion. Says Big Rig and brilliant rugby knife edge. Both teams running on fumes by the end. Yeah, I think there's going to be some very tired players. Well, in fact, there already are, but give them 20 more minutes and the gas tanks are going to be gone. Joe Schmidt will be balled at the end of this game if the Wallabies lose. Says Matthew, now kick downfield. Looking to line this one up. Waiting for it strategically was Tom Wright, and there was a knock on from the Lions there, but the ball comes off a Lions player. And will now be a Wallabies line out. And look, it's the guy that can't tackle. I assume you're talking about Owen Farrell, who now makes his way onto the field. He's going to have to tackle well here because they are under quite a bit of pressure. The Lions down by the 2 points. This game is far from over, though. British and Irish Lions have some fire in them after that try, says Hanger Rat. Yeah, see, that's the thing. It hasn't been very often throughout this tour we have had to see the Lions find that heart when being behind. But they've looked like a very dangerous side when they're down by points. You know, they've played a lot better, I think, throughout the last maybe 30 or so minutes. After that yellow card, Farrell hit on the wrong side and got bumped off by Wilson, and he sits him down for 0 from 1 for Farrell. And he is right next to that breakdown. He'll be looking for the opportunity to get that steal or get those opportunities on attack for his side. Langy Gleeson, Maro Itoje on the ball, and the skipper gets his penalty. He has given away multiple throughout this game, but he got that one right. And it's an all-important one that could give the Lions the lead if they can create an attack, kicking right downfield. What a kick that is from the Lions. 5 meters out from the line now. And they will be in the perfect attacking position to create another chance. Clutch from Tizano. Says Chris there and keep Daddy's boy out of this game. Says Brian. And JJ getting his grubby mitts on the ball. Says Strictly Rugby. Is it bottling or chokeling? If you lose well to an excellent team? I don't think it's either, to be honest. I think that sometimes... I don't think there's any denying now that these two sides have been so competitive in this contest. Bundyaki getting in the breakdown. It is Carlo Tizano, and he didn't quite get the steal in the breakdown. 3 meters out from the try, like Gibson Park goes short side to Ryan, but this time Tizano gets over the ball and wins the all-important penalty for the Wallabies. He was an outstanding player in Super Rugby for the Western Force. He had more tries than anyone else. Best commentary by the Aussies, just been on the British one. I think I fell asleep, says Lee Thomas there. And also, reckon their rankings don't mean anything in the Lions' door. Courage, says Jersey, and what a steal, says Zai. Yeah, a crucial one to be getting. Okay. Maro Itoje just having a long conversation there with Piatti. He was asking about something that happened off the ball. A massive play from Liner. That's missed the touchline there, which gives the Lions another attacking chance. I thought for a second Keenan was thinking about drop goal there. But instead we'll kick it high, taken back by Jake Gordon after the knock-on of the Lions, and we will go back for the scrum. It's finished, says Theodore. It is not finished. We have 16 more minutes remaining of this contest. Wallabies need to be subbed now. Who, though? Who do you sub? I think they've made a majority of their switches. The only man left to be subbed, I believe, is Ben Donaldson. Other than that, though, the bench is empty. Number 19 Australia player, that is Jeremy Williams. And currently on the ferry from Dover to France, from the UK. Got a load of fellas listening in. Fair play to the Aussie commentary. Says Avocado. And there as well. Yeah, it is greatly appreciate you being here too. MCG 95,000 watching live for this game. I can tell you right now, if this is 1-1 going into the third, that next stadium is going to be absolutely ecstatic and also very electric. But what we're going to do is I want to quickly see where that third game's taking place because I've forgotten. It's at Stadium Australia, at a core stadium. What's the capacity of that thing? 83,500. That could be very busy. If this is 1-1, but now Suali'i breaks through one, gives it off to Lina Cattell, who was tackled by Jack Morgan. Now 15 minutes remaining in this contest. And go the Wallabies, says Eddie there. And honestly, Australian attack looks outstanding. Absolutely love their structure, pass timing, and offloading skills, says Chris Lord. And you look happy, says Maya Dean. I'm happy because this has been a really good game of rugby. You know, there were times before this matchup that it was mentioned maybe this game wouldn't be competitive, but it has been every part of that. And with the amount of entertainment in it, it's been so much more as well. But Carlo Tazzano, around the halfway line, trying to hold him up with the Lions. The tackle with Bundy Aki. Now Angus Bell throws himself at the line. Now rolling it back, told to use Amaru Atoje, giving a couple of Australians a bit of a wedgie in the breakdown. Which I'm sure would just be annoying more than anything else. Oh, a massive shot on Hugo Keenan. I think maybe Wilson hurt his arm in the process, but he was willing to put 150% into that challenge. Skip pass from Gibson Park goes to Russell inside of the 22. Does kick it down the middle of the field. Tom Liner passes across to Tom Wright. Already has a 50-22 today. Also has a line break and he's looking for another one. Passes on the outside to Jorgensen, who will kick it downfield. Ball stays in the field of play. Gibson Park has Jorgensen on him, who's trying to rip that ball off him. The Lions just scrambling enough to keep the ball 10 metres. In fact, closer than that, only the 5 away from the try line. Kelleher hits it up again. Now, ready to roll this one back again for Gibson Park, listening in Shetland. Couldn't be further away. These games need to be free to hear TV, says Brian. I agree. I feel like definitely for the test matches anyway, it would have been great to see them on a free-to-air option, but that kicked in to touch. Goes about 25 metres out from the line. Our best game of July. Honestly, this one's got to be up there. And we are still counted in July, so I feel like that is quite a bonus. Any cards? We've seen the one for Tommy Freeman earlier on in the game. It cost the Lions quite a few tries throughout that period. Now thrown down the back this time. Langy Gleeson trying to bump off Finn Russell. Now Wilson, his leg got bent the wrong way. Now Williams, tackle low by Tyg Byrne, who once again has been working extremely hard throughout this game. Wilson loses a few more metres. The Wallabies 30 out. That looked close to a forward pass. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be called as one. Wallabies now 25 metres out. Gordon, nope, they're going back for the forward pass. I assume that was the TMO's call. And it will now be the scrum for the Lions. We have got there. I like this ref. He lets the game play. Says time till death. If Australia can go too wide from a quick ruck, then they can get, or they can get their foreskin. Says Lamatasi. It was a full pass. Says Angaret. And man needs to take a breath. Says Avocado. Yeah, I feel like I'm almost going to be puffing as much as the players at the end of this one. Probably nowhere near as much, though. Of course, they are working much harder than myself. Probably saying a lot less words, though. But we have now got another scrum. The Lions ready to put this ball in. Still down by the 2 points. We see there the territory and possession, both in favour of the Australians. 64% for the possession stat. Tackle completion still only at 75% for the Lions in this game. And how's Hamish says, Sakili, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. We are going to be back for the 2 games of the Curry Cup a little bit later on today too. The next one of those going to be starting at about an hour and 10 minutes time. The Lions get another penalty at scrum time. We have got there. You also haven't been tackled by an angry 120kg Australian, Hamish. That is true. Not yet anyway. Well, I'll be pretty unlucky seeing as it's almost midnight here in New Zealand. In which case I would be getting robbed. We have got there. I miss Joe Marler. Says Avocado. I love the TV series Shetland Blue, Beautiful Countryside. And Aussie get McDermott in around the ruck. Come on, Aussie, says Gus. See, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? Because McDermott, he came on early for the injury of Harry Potter. And I do think that affected things quite drastically in terms of, you know, what the tactics would have been. We can hear the crowd. They are very loud at the MCG. They are loving what they're seeing. The final 10 minutes is upon us now. The Lions claiming it. Line out time off a bit of a fumble of Nick Frost. Now looking to get this rolling maul moving forward. Kelleher hanging on to it at the back now. Gibson Park will shift it away to the right. Farrell pops it up to Russell. The two playmakers linking up. Step from Kinghorn. Finds a lot of space here. The Scottish 15. Now 22 metres out from the line. Beautiful pass from Russell to Byrne. I've still got pace to Byrne on the outside here for the Lions if they can find their way through. Ellis Genge with the power right up the middle. Gibson Park off to the right with a snipe and run. Gets those extra couple metres. Now Will Stewart, pick and go. Just looking to slow this one down a little bit. But one extra roll from the tight head prop means that Australia get themselves another penalty. 8 points in, says Eric. You've been very busy then. And who's turnover, says Blues Nate. And also we have got there, no Aussie should question Asuali'i contract, his quality, says Eric, and Wallabies to win the series in the Rugby World Cup, says Johnny Man. Well, of course, the series would be a good start first. Or, in fact, not even the series, just this game would be a great start. Wade McDermott is on the wing. He is. He replaced Harry Potter because of that 6-2 split. How the F can you keep the ball on your own side without rolling? Says Scott. I think it was the second roll that got him in a bit of trouble there for Will Stewart. And come on, blokes. Says Dunny from down under, but now the rolling maul of the Wallabies. Sitting about 35 metres out from the line. This one is up. And I think maybe as he got in there and potentially as Ellis Genge got his hands, he's got his hands on some sort of balls, but I think it might be the tight heads. But now it will be the scrum to the Lions. Atoje is the guy who is in there and managed to secure it. And hey, bro, poverty option, says Darren there. And also Andy Farrell Low says Blues Nate in the box. Lost second half of the first test against Italy. Not that good. Oh, yeah, but they still won that game by a large margin, didn't they? And how many Lions supporters are there? The crowd is red. There's a lot for this game. I'd say that the split's probably about, I don't even know if it's 50-50. There might even be a little bit more for the Lions in this game. But Andy Farrell very happy with that one. Now 8 minutes remaining on a good position in the field. If they get themselves a penalty here, perhaps the 3 points could be on the cards. This is brilliant commentary. Your awesome man says, Tariq, thank you very much. And be sure to pop in next week as well. We are going to be doing match 3 on the channel. And it is going to be hopefully just as entertaining as this one. Wallabies or Australia has to score. They certainly do. And convert, I will add. Because if the British and Irish Lions score and convert now, Australia may let this one slip. Front rows go down. And it's going to be another reset. No ways didn't watch this game as I didn't expect this outcome come on Australia, says Campo. And yeah, still another 7.5 minutes left. So plenty of time for it to be decided. Okay, Michael Hooper in the commentary is just saying there that Ellis Genge probably very lucky not to get penalised for that one as his elbow was down first. And your commentary stops. And come on, Aussie, let's go, mates. Says Manatee. And there as well. What's a penalty? Says Jason. I mean, if that's the biggest thing for you to complain about, Jason, we've probably done quite well, haven't we? You had so much to work with. You chose one little pronunciation. Now, Jamison Gibson Park. Ready to put this ball into the scrum. Oh, no. Another reset from Piari. A little bit too much movement early. We're supporting the Wallabies today. Says Sakili, I definitely will be with you next week. I only found you today, my friend. Says Tariq. And one for the British and Irish Lions pulling the scrum down. It needs to have a big push. And also we have got there, come on the Lions, says Finton there. And also Italian job coming in. I see Smell in here. Penalty for the British and Irish Lions. And come on the Lions. So these guys, or show these guys how to win this. Says Dennis. Just show him there, Will Stewart. What's going on here? He's going to be changing his boots, and Tyke Furlong is giving him his boots by the looks of that. See what just happened to Tyke Furlong? Just take his boots off to then give Will Stewart his? They must be the same size. That's pretty handy. The crowd is 90,000 though, 307 at the MCG. I've just said there, the biggest crowd ever for the British and Irish Lions on Australian soil, I think that was. You never gave your bros your boots age? No, we didn't have the same foot sizes, so it didn't really work. MCG just rocking. I can't New Zealand have a huge stadium like this, says Amos. We probably wouldn't fill it, unfortunately. And we have the oi oi come on Australia, put another shrimp on the barbie. Strictly rugby, everyone has an accent, says Paper there. Right, the scrum now about to take place. Will Stewart has got some new shoes. And he's ready to go for the third reset of the scrum. We are 6 minutes remaining in this match now. Oh, free kick to the British and Irish Lions. I will be completely honest with you. That's not the absolute worst outcome for Australia, because if they were going to get penalised in that scrum, that could have given the Lions the lead. At least in this case, they still have to work to get their try. Gibson Park passes across to Tyke Byrne, 22 metres out from the line. Russell goes across with the skip pass. Aki does extremely well to take the catch behind him. Now Gibson Park again goes to Finn Russell. Thought about the pass on the inside, but couldn't quite get there. Aki's got some bad cramp in his leg. He's trying to get back up to his feet. He's gone back down. There's the knock on from the Lions. Now 5 minutes remaining here. There will be frustration for the Lions. Drop goal incoming, says Anthony. That's the thing. Any sort of penalty will put the Lions in the perfect position to take the lead here, which is why Australia have to dig and scrape and claw as much as they can to just survive throughout this time. And why do you rugby league players make such good union coaches? Says LG. And all the stop-start helping Oz catching their breath, says Suds raising. That could be game, says Dime Till Death. I think we've still got a couple late tails, though, in this contest. 4.5 minutes left, more than enough time for a bit more action. But this is where if Australia win the scrum, it could be absolutely crucial. And come on, Lions, time to score. And Aussie's got to hold the scrum. I think the British and Irish Lions try is coming, says Jeremy. Well, that's the thing. They don't even fully need that try. If they can just get a penalty or a drop kick, I'm sure they'll be happy enough with that as well. But Australia, they know they need to convert a try to feel like this game is secure. But now the big push, and the Wallabies manage to retain the ball. Liner kicks it as far downfield as his left foot would allow. Now Hugo Keenan looking for the kick up high. Chasing after this will be Hugh Jones. Taken on. In fact, it was Freeman this time. Liner. Ball's there for Australia. Bit of a counter ruck there. Gibson Park trying to get the steel told to get out of it. Harry Wilson now has cramp and is trying to get back up to his feet. And he is sucking in the big ones. Feeling the fatigue. They are inside of the 22, so Gordon will be able to kick this one downfield into touch. 3 minutes left, says Hanger. Outfield placement 22 metres out from the Wallabies line, although now with that ball going into touch with what was probably the best box kick of the day for Gordon, gets them down to the halfway line. 3 minutes now left on the clock. Come on, Australia from South Africa. My heroes are Campo, Jason Little, Tim Horan, Nick Farr Jones, all of you. Win this game for them, says Francois. And now this is exciting, says Powerbite. Yeah, it is certainly, it's going to be match of the weekend. It's pretty much the only match of the weekend internationally, but it's certainly going to be that. With still plenty of drama left. 2.5 minutes remaining. Farrell passes across to Kinghorn. Finds the ball out to Tommy Freeman. Missed tackle from McDermott. But then Suaalii manages to drag him down. 2.5 minutes left. Russell 40 metres out from the line here for the Lions. Farrell goes across to Tyke Byrne, who will just keep on running till his legs will stop. Gibson Park. Russell. Genge now. In fact, that time it was Kelleher. Aussie trying to steal, but unable to do it. Bundy Aki now, still 40 metres out, a kickable 3 if they get themselves an advantage. Russell going now to Kinghorn, off to Morgan, the Welshman. 2 minutes left and 5 phases down for the British and Irish Lions. Gibson Park again, going to Will Stewart. This time, those bright new boots getting him a few extra metres. He gets back up to his feet and 22 metres out from the line now for the Lions. Finn Russell skip past to Byrne. This may be the last attacking chance of the match for this Lions side. Maru Atoje, 2-man tackle on him. Sitting 15 metres out. 90 seconds left. Russell left with far too much space. Passes to Kinghorn. He's got numbers on the outside, but runs himself 5 metres out from the line now for the British and Irish Lions. 1 minute left. That looked like offside. But now Russell, he's going to go wide as he he slips over and is dragged down once more. Offloads to James Ryan. 5 metres now. Carlo Tizzano wanted the steal. He's holding his head. I think he took a big shot. Keenan goes over the line and the Lions score it. The only thing that may take it away is the shot on Tizzano in the breakdown. That could be the only thing that saves the Wallabies here. But Keenan in the 79th minute, if the try stands, they will not have time for something else. Harry Wilson is saying you have to check it. Maru Itoje is grabbing him going, no, I'd like you to go back, please. Okay. Okay, by the sounds of it, they are going to check this one here of the clean out of well, that's a weird one because his head is in the breakdown. Don't get me wrong. It is contact on the back of the neck of Carlo Tizzano here. They are booing. They've just said there it's at least a penalty. That's what the Australian commentator just said. The commentators are saying they cannot give this try. So there's about to be some very angry people for one of these two teams. They are going upstairs, checking for potential foul play. So Carlo Tizzano went in, tried to get the steal in the breakdown. His head is very close to the ground. And I think the other argument that could be made is where was Jack Morgan supposed to hit Tizzano with his body position? But at the same time, there's contact to the neck. So this is going to be a massive, massive dramatic call at the end of this game. The commentators are saying there's high contact. I think if this is a try, this will be the closest we've ever been to hearing the Australian commentators swear their heads off. You cannot hit a guy on the neck is the comment from one of them. Both of the player ruck at the same time. There is no foul play and the Lions win the series. Jack Morgan, he did a little fist pump afterwards, but they will win. You can see the heartbreak for the Australians as there's only 20 seconds left. Farrell is loving it, and that will be the game. We have got there, so that's legal this week. Okay, got you, says Studs Ray. And Aussie You Beauty says Luke. And above the shoulder says Floyd Kingy. And also we have got there, come on, get in there. And also Let's Go Right just says ANFG. But now 2 seconds remaining. Finn Russell misses another one, but it has not come down to that. The Lions will win the series. And they do win this game 29 points to 26. But the Aussies, they are stunned for this game. There is someone who has got the thumbs down in the stands. He is not happy one bit. That's a BS call. That's what I'm talking about. Lions says avocado, bloody hell says English, and damn it, Australia sucks, says Kiwi Rob. I think that was far from a sucky performance from the Aussies. They dug deeper than we've seen them dig in quite some time, and still, by the thinnest margin, ended up missing out. Now we have got the excellent commentary game. Cheers, mate. And Australia didn't do enough in the second half, and much more like it in terms of being competitive. Well, that's the thing. Like, Australia, like you said, they did not score enough points throughout the second half of rugby. They only got the 3 points coming from... Well, in fact, did they get a penalty? Was that about it? I think it was, to give them that 8-point lead. And we have got there Australia where Rob says power bite. And Island Win It says Rankin. Also, we've got the great commentary. I should also put Hugo Keenan in the bottom there, shouldn't I? Seeing as he did score that last minute try. I was a bit hesitant to put it just in case they were going to roll it out. But the comments from the Australian commentators saying that's at least a penalty and there's no way that the try can be awarded, to then have the try awarded about 10 seconds later. And well done, commentator. Says Matty Sims in there. Fantastic match. Another great call by yourself. Says Studs Race. If you've gone in at the scrum, but the guy's head is practically on the floor, what are you supposed to do? I think that's a fair call. Great game by both sides, says David. Yeah, I did mention about that. Like, yes, there was the contact. Okay, no, the commentators are still not happy. Right, they have just said that you still can't hit a guy on the back of the neck, and the referee has cost the Wallabies this series, is the comment that was just made. Which is quite a bold one. To be fair, what a game. The madness, says Big Rig. Yeah, an absolutely crazy affair between these two sides. And first time on your channel and enjoyed your commentary, says Brian. And even though it is 2-0, we are going to be back next week for the third matchup, ladies and gents. So, of course, be sure to tune in. Also, if you do like a little bit of provincial rugby, the Curry Cup, we are going to be going live in 55 minutes for that. So be sure to check that out. We've got 2 matches today. We've also got the super sticker from Matthew. Once again, greatly appreciate it, mate, for your generosity, I should say. And terrific commentary, Kiwi Lad appreciation. Says payment there. Yeah, it's greatly appreciated. Everyone tuning in. We have got their line should have been penalised. Get contact is simple. Says Paul Henry, and thanks for the commentary, mate. And great stuff. No test should be decided on a TMO call. Get them out of the game, says Architect. And there too. And also we got their bad luck Australia. I'm glad it was close. Thanks so much for the commentary. Great as always from England. And also we have got the agree with the commentator, says Paul Henry. And lads at the pub on the V8 after this great game. And rugby referees are totally corrupt. Says Power Biden. And that happens a lot. No penalty. And please tell me how that is. That not a pen, huh? Well, rugby's such a joke these days, CCP. And well done to the refs. And there we have got the TMO couldn't. Wait, where'd that go? The chat is going very quick. At the moment, TMO couldn't check properly because they are still busy checking for infringements from the Bulls versus Leinster final, says Andrew. We've got a donation from Calmac. Tell you what, the after-match donations, that's about the 3rd one in a row. So thank you all very much for your extreme generosity on those ones. And get yourself a wee dram, mate, says Calmac. I will be completely honest, Calmac. I don't know what a dram is. I assume is that like a drink or something like that, maybe? It's very clean out by Morgan on the Aussie Nick. I will see the same in other games, says Eric. And we have got there's Arabia's wrestling now. You are predetermined in the outcome. They want the Lions to win a close one, so they allow that last right. Great commentary, says Lee. And we have got there, let's go Hamish Burger, says Blues Note. And there's, it's whiskey. Okay, I see. Horrendous game management from the Wallabies, says Bobby. Yeah, yes, that last minute moment will be one that is talked about a lot. But it also has to be said that the Wallabies, they didn't score a try for an extended period of time throughout that game. And honestly, I don't want to be that guy that says it, but why were they taking Valentini off so early? Why were they taking Will Skelton off at that point? Now, the Skelton one, I believe, was an injury, but I don't think Valentini was. They got rid of their front row going into the second half. I feel like there were too many risks in a game where they didn't need to do it. So I think that was possibly something that let them down. But the fact that they didn't score any tries outside of the time where the Lions got a yellow card and then they had a yellow card for Gordon and Wright. When they were playing 15 men, they really did struggle to get through. I'll send you a couple of Bob, Hamish. If I knew how to do it in England, says Neil. And also we have got there, will there be a game 3? Yes, there will still be a game 3, even though the Lions are 2-0 up. They will still play for that third match too. What a game, says Phil. Yeah, an outstanding contest between the two sides, back and forth for 80 minutes of what was extremely hard-hitting rugby. And hopefully the third match, even though there isn't as much on the line, hopefully we still see an outstanding contest. But I have a feeling that the Wallabies, this one's going to hurt for a while, because at the end of the day, that one they poured their heart and soul into and they still came up just short. So, are they going to come out even more motivated in the next game, or is that going to be the biggest performance we'll see from the Australians in this one? And I honestly can't believe all the rest were happy with that clean out. Says Rugby Itch there, and Schmidt is working wonders, says Studs Ray, but he is leaving Australian rugby very soon, isn't he? I think it's at the end of the year he's going to be moving away from the Wallabies, and they will have to find a new coach. At least the Wallabies tried. Says Matthew, and thanks for your commentary watching as a Scot in Austria. Really appreciate it, says Graham. And also we have got there Our wife telling me to switch it off, never get married, says they will. Hopefully she didn't hear that. Or else you will be in the dog box, I would think. And Squid Rugby is going to have a 40-minute video on this. And we have got any of the box released to play in the Currie Cup this week. Not a huge amount of them. Quite a few URC guys, though, in those 2 games today. But, yeah, not a huge amount of box in the running there. I think a controversial call to end their game should not have happened. Says Govin there. No last try. That was a penalty, says Stephen. And Legend Amos says Amos and was unable to stay tuned in. Glad to see the Lions won as I predicted, says Bruce. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I said, still 2 games of the Currie Cup taking place a little bit later on that we will be doing on the channel. So be sure to check those out. I do thank you all very much for being here. And I will see you all for next week as well as the Currie Cup games. So yeah, we will see you all for the next one.